this with it. I'm just gonna lay back and I'ma drop some smooth lyrics. So tune in 7 to 9:30 and don't be late. About to set it straight. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Word. I'm ready. Let's go. Ain't no half stepping. That's the name of the show. Yeah. Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah. Hunters talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about? Call it. We're hearing you. Cover all topics. Touch on the main issues. With you flowing this show, bring the heat. Yeah. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D legacy online. Okay. 7 to 9:30. Please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. Yeah. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk, run it back. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk. Steppin' is the name of the show. Yeah. Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah. Hunters talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about? Call it. We're hearing you. Cover all topics. Touch on the main issues. With you flowing this show, bring the heat. Yeah. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D legacy online. Okay. 7 to 9:30. Please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. Yeah. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk.
All right, y'all. Ain't no half stepping. Marcus J is live. We in the building. Excited to be back. First show of March this year, 2022. Big show, outstanding show. A lot to talk about tonight. We got a lot to get into. We're going to talk about Ukraine. We're going to talk about Ryan Coogler. We're going to talk about LeBron James, Tom Brady, all that. If you're thinking about it, we are too. It is the flagship show of Legacy Internet Radio. This show is called Ain't No Hashtag with Marcus J, and it's live right now.
Yeah.
It's about that time. It's about that time to get. Yeah.
Button your lip, open your ears, strap on your thinking cap. Socially conscious talk that's entertaining with a dash of humor and the top sports stories of the week. It's time for Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J.
Sellers has Jordan. Jordan with 2 seconds to go. Puts it up and scores at the buzzer. Michael Jordan has won it for Chicago. Manning lobs it. Burris alone. Touchdown, New York.
Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. He hits one deep to right center. That ball is out of here. The Yankees win the pennant.
Ain't no hashtag when Marcus J is live. We are in the building. Be down with us tonight at 804-402-2893. Be a part of the flagship show, heard live from New Den of Legacy Internet Radio. Thank you to everybody who's rocking with us tonight. We appreciate those folks already checked in on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. Thank you to those folks that are checking out the archive. That's checking us out in the future. We appreciate you. We always thanking you anytime that you stop by and spend a little time with the usual suspects as I begin to go around the room and get them introduced. I tease on the other side, but we got much bigger fish to fry than just what we've teased. Of course, you see the brother. I see the brother. He's right there. You see him. He's my brother. He's John. Hi, John.
What up, Marcus J?
How are you today?
I'm well, and how are you, sir?
I can't call it today.
Listen, sometimes I wish, tongue in cheek, that I didn't have it so good, so I could complain like ordinary people do.
Oh, you what? Oh,
But
sir.
my life is just too amazing to complain about anything.
I could dig
So
that, man.
it's good
That's
with
cool.
me.
Because it's my brother, and
I
I'm
like
so
that.
happy to hear that he's
Me
happy. That's
too.
what's
I
up,
want
man.
that for him.
Yeah.
I love that,
Yeah,
John.
you hear the voice. I'm glad she's here. She's our sister, and she's your sister as well. She is right on my right side where she always is perched. She is Steph B.
I like perched. Always
Yeah,
forward.
yeah.
Always forward, my friends.
Well, it's good to
This
see
might
you.
be the least hyped I am since I woke up this morning.
Really?
We'll see.
You've been bouncing off the walls,
All
man?
day.
Really?
Yeah.
Are
know,
you
I'm
ODing
feeling
on
stuff.
Java?
No Java today either.
No Java.
Yeah. John hooked me up though. I'm okay.
All right.
I'ma
Well,
be
you know,
all right.
whatever it takes. You know, I'm glad. I'm just glad to see you. So we got our first good morning from little sis. So we're gonna give her the salutation that we always give to her and her big sister as we look into the camera and we say, "Good
Good
morning,
morning,
Latrell."
Latrell.
Yeah, peace to you. Thank you for rocking. So, how's the weekends, man? We haven't done this, Steph, John, in 2 weeks. You know,
It was pretty relaxed. I actually I pre-gamed before the weekend and I learned that 21 ain't 41 ain't 45.
did you learn the hard way?
I learned. I had an appreciable lesson, as they would say.
Appreciable.
Yes. She's a little
Appreciable.
$10 worthy.
Yeah,
I made notes
Yeah.
so that I know.
I can't do
No.
this.
This is one of those things you put a sticky note on the mirror in the morning and say, "Don't do XYZ ever again," and just
No.
leave it there till next weekend.
I could dig that. You know, it's funny that you say that. And right before we went live, you and I are having a conversation, and then I turned funny, and I had this look on my face, and it's just because you don't bounce back the way you used to.
No, but you know what's important though?
What's that?
You still know how to bounce.
Well, they can bounce,
Still
they
know
get
how
down
to
the-
bounce.
Yeah.
I mean, I went to one of your favorite watering holes. We
Okay.
don't have to drop names, but on Friday,
Okay.
and with a good friend of mine, and we sat there and chatting cocktails. So they that's where I took it down a notch.
Right.
Food, good food, good conversation, and played out. The weekend played out pretty well. Cannot complain.
I can dig that. How about you, John? How was your weekend, man? Did you have a good one?
Like I said, I had a lot going on, so I was busy. I had a lot of stuff going on, a lot of family stuff. But at the same time, I can't recall like a bad weekend. Like I really don't remember when I had a bad one.
This is retirement, man.
Yeah, like
So good, huh, John?
Like, come on. I like every time, like, okay, when you get up in the morning, first off, when you get up, that's automatic appreciation for getting up.
Right. Somebody
Right?
didn't.
Right. Then when you just open your eyes and look around the room, you're like, oh, I'm in a king size bed. Oh, there's a giant flat screen on the wall.
Right.
Oh, look, my phone charged. That means the power's on.
Yeah, I mean, seriously.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
and it really
like,
should get
wow.
that small.
Yeah,
it really
but,
should be focused on things that small.
It's not small. It's small to us. But
True.
the majority
Somebody
of the
else doesn't
world,
have it,
90% of the world is suffering. They're not waking up in king size bed with big
You're right.
65-inch flat screens on the bedroom wall. Yeah. No, they're not like that.
Our problems are really first world problems, for real.
Exactly.
When
like,
we really break it down, it's super first
That's what
world.
I'm trying to say. So it's like, yo, you know what? What do I have the gall to sit up and complain about?
Yeah.
Oh, somebody didn't fix my thing when they were supposed to fix it. Now I gotta wait a day
Cable
later.
man showed up late.
I gotta unplug the cable box so it could reload and read. I mean, come on, for real.
You know
For
what?
real?
It's a great reminder. And I'll add to that. I was paying attention to a really good mindfulness podcast on Sunday. And I like to, before I get into things like writing or anything, I really like to just clear my mind. And the gentleman on the podcast said something that I was like, yeah, that just absolutely is true. You do not have to be happy in order to be grateful. And I was like, that's spot on. Even in your worst moments, sometimes in your day-to-day situation, there's something to be grateful for. And a lot of times we attach gratitude to our emotional state, and we really shouldn't. Our emotional state has nothing to do with whether or not there are things around us that we should be consistently grateful for. It might be difficult, it may sound difficult, but thinking of it that way really changes a lot during a day.
I sometimes make a concentrated, deliberate effort to feel bad, and it don't work.
Because you gotta
it just don't work. I mean, okay, y'all were just talking about this stuff. Like, I got so many aches and pains and stuff. But you have you ever seen the challenge where they challenge you to put on your shoes and socks without?
Yes, I saw that on YouTube.
I did the challenge. It was a little funny style. I was a little shaky, but I got it done. At 54, I don't feel bad.
Yeah.
I had to cross one leg.
Yeah.
And do like that. I ain't tied nothing.
Right.
My shoes slip on. But I got the socks on either foot and the shoe on either foot. And I felt good about it. I broke a sweat. I was breathing hard. I'm not going to lie. I felt like my but I was able to do it.
But you could do it.
I could do it. Like, I'm quite sure if I was at the party and something broke out, I could bust into a light jog. I could get up out of it. I'm okay. I'm saving up.
Oh my gosh.
I'm saving up.
This is sounding real back nine of life right
listen,
now.
I am saving up. I'm letting y'all know. I'm letting everybody know. I am saving up a Link Hayes from Mod Squad dive that I've been holding on to
years.
for whenever I may need it. I will fly like Link across something if I got to. Now, when I land, my condition is not what we're talking about. But I will.
The fact that you went
I
for
will.
it.
Yeah, I'm saving that up.
You can take the leap.
Yeah.
Shout out to our sister Mama Mika. Is checking us out right now. Got a lot of love for her. She's Legacy and a radio alumni. She said that spot must have been Croker spot. And so because that's my spot, I'll say it. I don't know if that's the spot. If it was somewhere else, then I guess
we know that where she was at on Friday.
But maybe we do, maybe we don't. I don't know. So but anyway,
Kroger spot, Whole Street, Richmond, Virginia, also Petersburg.
I've actually had a very good last few days. I was on vacation. Today was my first day back to work since the 2nd.
Getting your Grizzly Adams on.
And I was chilling, as you guys, as some of you know, our brother Damon was in town, so spent a few days hanging out with him, and then the family and me headed to Massanutten.
Oh, nice.
So I spent a few days up there in the mountains, watching the sunrise over a mountain, while enjoying what's legal. Is a good time, it brings new meaning
trying to catch up with the sun
it brings,
as it rises.
It brings new meaning to the phrase "wake and bake." That's for sure. So, but when I got back, man, I literally didn't do anything but yoga. That's it. That's all I've done, and so it's a good time. It's about peace. It's about fun. It's about doing what the hell you want to do. And I was happy about that. So yesterday I spent a half an hour at the river in the cold.
Came back from vacation to keep the vacation going.
Well, that's what you're supposed to do.
I'm talking about.
That ain't vacation. That's vacation.
That's what you're supposed to do, though.
And you know what I love? That you, because so many times, if we're honest, I know when I was younger, I would go on vacation and come back tired because I was going to do everything. I was going to see everything, run everywhere, go everywhere, drink everything, eat everything. And then you come back and you need a day, which I would always try to clip to the end of that. Exactly. But now I just want to go places where I can chill.
So
I want to
did.
bring my journal and sit on the beach side. I want to read a good book
You know
that's
what I
not for
did?
educational purposes.
You know what I did every morning I was gone? I pulled my yoga mat out and faced the east and did yoga for a half hour every morning while I was away and whatnot.
Good,
And
Malcolm. Good.
it was great. You know,
Bismillah, Shaitan
It's-
Rajim, Alhamdulillah,
Hey,
Alamin.
whatever it takes
Y'all
to feel
niggas-
good.
whatever
Whatever
it takes to
to
good.
feel
You know,
good, right?
the good thing about it though, you know, we are also at a stage in life where we should take pride and we should also make concerted effort to be intentional about making yourself feel good.
Yes, sir.
You got to do it because ain't nobody else going to do it.
No.
You know what I mean? Nobody's going to take care of you like you take you. See, we get so caught up. And before I go into this point, I got to give some love to my brother Leroy Cherry, one of my first best friends from Wilkinson Avenue in Jersey City. So much love to you, brother.
Yo,
Hey,
Nina.
best friend. Hey,
Peace
best
to you.
friend.
Peace to you. We reunited in high school too.
That's cool. That's cool.
But you know, I'm at a stage now where it's just you have to be intentional about self-care and make yourself feel good because
True.
see, we are raised up to be giving, and we should be. We should be about service, and we should be about giving. The most intoxicating thing that I've ever experienced in my life is companionship and love from another human. And that looks and feels differently. Like I get love from y'all, and I love that. I get it from Dame, and I love that. I get it from my family. I love that. You know, I get it from Leroy, who's checking in right now, who, you know, it's probably been close to 30 years since I seen him, since I put eyes on him, you know, but just seeing him jump in there, I can go back to when we was a couple of 6-year-olds. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
that's
And
dope.
so to be able to have that kind of recall at this stage of life is just really freaking cool. And it's important. You know, as John was saying, you know, I could wake up in this big ass bed and I could look at the flash screen on the wall. Like people would say that that's boastful and you shouldn't speak, you know, that way about yourself. You don't know what other folks got going on. He didn't say anything disrespectful. He didn't say anything that was disparaging or anything. He was talking about, hey, I feel good.
Absolute self-focus.
I feel good. And
Doesn't have to do anything with any of us
but
in this room.
nobody else.
It's not in any way bragging because I got
No,
less than a few, but I got much more than most, and I'm just appreciative of it.
Yes. And also,
That's the key. You're
let's
appreciative.
normalize being happy with where we are in our lives without having to apologize or explain it away. If he was boasting about feeling good, listen, it's better than sitting around somebody who has nothing but complaints. If you are bragging that life is good from your perspective with what you have, I don't have a problem with that. You're not the Sackler family of Purdue Pharma, you know, killing people and
but-
sitting on $1 billion. I know where that comes from.
But you know what?
You know what I
though?
mean?
What you just said is so key, right? Because we gather on this show, and y'all hear me. I let in the people, especially the government, so on and so
Sure.
forth. But check this out. I ain't in Ukraine.
Yeah.
ain't nobody dropping no bombs over here.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? And ain't no Canada ain't coming over. Neither is Mexico.
You know,
we good.
That's a perfect segue.
Well.
I don't want to take too much time talking about Ukraine, but I think that we would be a tad irresponsible based on the foundation of this show without at least touching on it a little bit. So here we'll go ahead and we'll shift from the salutations and kind of get into the meat and potatoes or the heart of the matter, or whatever analogy that I can't seem to grasp right now. The flotsam and jetsam, yeah, of the show.
Let's
you
get
know,
messy.
yeah. So let's talk about it. You know, I can't remember how much we talked about on our last show, which was 2 weeks ago tonight. But racism in Ukraine, I want to talk a little bit about. I saw a video. Well, let me back up. I had a conversation with Mama J, my favorite human, and she was curious about what she was seeing, and it struck her to see what she perceived as Americanized racism going on in Ukraine, where we were seeing the Africans being kept from being able to exit the country on par with the Ukrainians.
Mhm.
And what I explained to her was what you're seeing is the evil of white folks. That doesn't mean that all white folks are evil, but what it does mean is white supremacy is perpetrated by white people.
True.
And it doesn't have to be only in America when you see it.
Right.
Whenever you have a country that is being bombed, where people are dying, like literally dying, and you know the Russians can say whatever they want, but ain't nobody
They're
here
killing
stupid.
civilians.
Yeah, ain't nobody stupid here. Like y'all bombed a maternity hospital, and
please don't
pregnant
jump in there
people.
talking about a conspiracy, please, no one.
We saw pregnant people like dying and
Please do.
and babies dying. Like we saw it. So I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
But we also saw white Ukrainians telling the black people, hold up.
Our women first.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And so it was a
Okay,
very
sir.
interesting conversation to have with someone who is just now entering the stage of her life where she can't be shielded anymore. Like
That's an excellent point.
she can't be. She can't be shielded. She goes to, you know, a PWI and she goes to work every day and she does what she does, and she sees it. And so we had to have a whole conversation about that.
Yeah.
And so I you know, that's one angle of Ukraine that I just want to go around the room really quick and touch on that. I got one more angle, then we getting the hell out of Ukraine.
Yeah.
So sis, you go first.
Well, you know, it's hard to feel a huge amount of empathy for people that can still cling to racism in the midst of a war. You know, it's like the human side of me doesn't want to see children or anyone harmed. But I also think what is important for young people to understand, and even people who don't necessarily pay attention to history or don't go deep with it, at the very surface of it all, there are several African nations right now that are being pillaged and plundered by the Russians right now. The Russians have some of their special forces, and I believe it's 7 or 8 different African nations, and those nations have refugees flooding out of them as well. But because we, as a country, uphold and support supremacy in spaces of blackness, we are allowing that and not really discussing it on the news. It's not being discussed, and it's been going on for months. And so that has been imperialism and colonialism throughout Europe, heading into Africa for many, many years. The Chinese are in Africa, raping the land. And so if you understand that, it shouldn't be hard for you to understand that it's, you know, there's always these arguments, and you'll hear people say, I'm leaving, I'm going to go somewhere else. When I talk about going somewhere else, I just talk about how far my USD goes. And you can be mad at me and say, well, you're not being a good feminist or whatever. No, I'm looking at how my black woman USD spends farther in Mexico than it does here. And I want to relax in my retirement and not have to rely on this government. That's all it is. But when you go and you really start to look at, you know, as many of us say that we were going to go somewhere else, and as though racism is going to disappear, it hits to your point exactly, Marcus. Racism isn't about whiteness. It's about white supremacy. And it's about, and therefore it's perpetrated by white people in white spaces. So you're in the Ukraine and you're a minority from an African nation. When they were a part of the USSR was already doing things in Africa. This is trained and learned behavior. And it is also, you know, it's, people in war can be racist because people who live in West Virginia with no running water and lice caps can be racist, because supremacy is something you cling to make you feel better about who you are over the next person. And the easiest person to target is the one that you can see exactly who they are in their skin suit. So do not be surprised. I wish the people over there well, but, you know, on the same token, the people I'm really concerned about, I'm rooting for everybody black to get out of there.
All right, Issa. You know how Steppin Marcus say
Yes,
live
sir.
for New Day Legacy in that radio. John, touch on I got one more angle on Ukraine. So go ahead and touch on this piece of the topic, the racism aspect or the white supremacy aspect of it. Try to stay there, and then we're going to move on to one more piece before we move on to other stuff.
Okay. I would like to touch a little bit on what Steph said with the West Virginia folks.
Go for it.
Real quick.
It's on the
It's
table.
racism.
All of the West Virginia people, when they keep telling you to don't worry about it, you're better than black people. The poor black people who live in the projects got new Jordans.
Oh, I'm so mad at you right now.
Those little
Turn
kids,
off his
mad at
mic.
listen,
I'm not
those
mad at him. I ain't mad
those
at him.
little children got shoes on their feet. They go to good hospitals and get good health care.
And fresh lineups. They got
Yeah.
fresh lineups.
Oh, the haircuts every Saturday, $20 per
Figuring it
kid
out.
to get it. Oh, don't let me talk about the little girls. When you see them braids, stuff like that be like $500-$600. I used to pay $600 to get my daughter's hair braided because she had to get human hair, real hair from India. Right? The bundle pack is $110. She needed 4
I
packs.
hate you right now.
Right? So when they keep telling y'all that y'all better than black people, don't worry about it, so y'all can be racist. Y'all need to think about what these people are doing to y'all. They're exploiting your ignorance to keep you underfoot, right? Because I'm gonna give you something else, right? It is the official policy of the Ukraine government that black people have to wait for white people in any situation. This is not a customary practice.
Yay.
This is their official policy of the country. White people first. They believe in white people first. They believe that white people are better than other people simply because they are white. Hold that thought. With that as a known practice policy, how is it possible for the United States government to be their ally? Because if we're their ally, guess what that means? We believe that too. So when y'all run out to support Biden, and Clyburn and the rest of the jigaboo-crats, right?
Sir.
Just understand that.
What?
Just understand
What?
that the
Is he
official
like making
American
up slurish words on the show?
policy
I know what he meant though.
with
Yeah.
foreign countries is that, yes, you're right. People are better than people just because they're white, and the U.S. government supports you 1,000% white power. That's that, and people say, "Oh, well, Biden did he did that." Check this out. Here's another something. Just on Ukraine, right? I will give $1 to the first person who can call in or text in and tell me who the largest oil-producing country in the world is. I'll wait. Anybody can tell me who the largest oil-producing country in the world is? And I don't mean by a little bit. I mean by a significant amount.
Yeah, I know.
Who said Saudi Arabia? You're wrong.
It's Ukraine.
Nah, it's the United States of America.
Yeah.
Really?
We
Okay.
produce more oil than anybody in the world.
You got me.
We do not need to buy one single barrel of foreign oil. Matter of fact, we sell more than we use.
We just gave out 9,000 lease grants to drill more,
Right?
and they won't
Be-
even use them.
And Canada ships its oil down and they sell it to Europe. What we're talking about is price gouging,
That
right?
say that
So
again.
so here's what happens. When you take the Russian oil off the market, right? It should make the other oil more valuable. The problem is when you realize that it ain't valuable,
And the U.S. doesn't use that much of it.
we could have gas prices at 99 cents a gallon right now and still kill a profit. But guess what? That would make the rich folk in this country not as much richer than you people in West Virginia. So this is what y'all are supporting with your racism and stupidity. Think about it.
Yeah. I will agree on the fact that it's price gouging.
Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from New Den Legacy in that radio. We're getting a caller. Caller, you on the live line. What's your name? What's your comment?
What's good, my G?
Peace. Caller, you on
Man.
the live line. We can hear you. Go for it.
Don't act like you on commercial. My name is Leroy.
What's happening, bro?
What's good, my G?
How you doing, brother? It's good. It's good to hear your voice, man. What's your comment?
Oh damn! I ain't know this thing so. I ain't know this thing so far behind. Now I want to go comment on that wall, man.
Okay.
Man, you should know. You should know what our parents was. You know what I'm saying? That's all that was. Behind the line, you know what I'm talking about.
Yep, I do. I do. Make it plain. Go ahead. Tell us.
If they capture that, that's one world order. You know what it is.
Yeah.
That's all they want. That's all that is. That other things behind it, they ain't it. They want that. Same thing when they was in the Gulf War. And that Gulf War. I nosy asses want to be over there. Got every foreign families, everything in there.
Right.
What he do? Because he knew he was going to die. He burnt down half of them before we got him.
Yeah.
That is.
It's a power
it's getting
grab.
It's getting other countries involved, like with China. China beefing with that other country because they didn't want to be with them. They want to be independent. Something that they must have got that China wants.
Well, yeah, that is always going to be that, and these are our enemies. We don't like to use those words, but it's what it is. And I'm glad that you brought up, and I saw when you posted it, and I put it on the screen about the World War III, and I guess this is about as good a time as any to bring it up. But when you look at what Russia is doing right now, right, and you see them marching towards the east, towards Poland, and they're on the eastern part of Ukraine. The minute they touch Polish land, that's NATO land, and the United States government already said, we're not fighting Russia and Ukraine, but we will defend every inch of NATO land. That to me sounds like what you said, brother. That sounds to me like World War III could potentially be imminent.
Why is two other part of the country they don't want to be with them? They causing them other countries to join to go against them. That don't make sense.
Well,
it don't. Look at how you just put NATO in it. I forgot about NATO.
Yeah. Yeah.
They caused NATO to start this.
Yeah. Well,
then they want to put China in with the other country because they don't want to be with them. They cause some type of war. That's the line. They causing something like what we got to do with it, or what the country got to do with it.
It's coming, brother. It's coming. It's coming.
That's the enemy.
Well, you know what it is. We've had issues with China since before we was even born. It's what it is. But the reality is China and Russia are allies. So if it go down, they going down together. And we all should be prepared for that and whatnot. So I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Keep on listening. If you hear something else you want to jump in on, call us back, all right? You got me? I think I might have lost Leroy. Ain't no half step on Marcus J live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. Let me get some more comments in before I go on. All right, so Leroy had put that comment in a while ago about World War III, so I'm definitely glad that he called in to get that in. Let's see, a couple of people that are checking in. Some I can see on the screen, some I can't. Why? Because I can't see. We got some love from one of our favorite listeners, our sister Coogler Von Sill. I just like saying
parking lot pull up, parking lot pull up.
She says good evening. She says Russia. When we were seeing what else she says, we were looking. Oh, so she's commenting on when John asked the question, right? And Ukraine and Russia was Mama Mika's answer. And Mama Mika says we put our stuff in reserve. We also got salutations from our sister who said good morning. So she's checked in. So we will check back in with her as we look into the screen and we say
good morning, Sue.
Yeah, ain't no half step Marcus J live from New Den Legacy in the radio. So I'm actually glad that Leroy did mention what he mentioned because the piece that I was teasing that I wanted to hold on to that he brought up, and I'm glad he did because again, good segue. Was a World War III aspect, and how I led it just now by saying that our president has already said we ain't going to Ukraine to fight the Russians.
No.
But if these folks touch NATO land as allies, we all in. And we have to know that Russia got Korea, North Korea, and China with them. And the United States and NATO and all these other countries supposedly will be aligned with each other to fight World War III against the three that I just mentioned. Now, here's the thing, right? We're watching the news and we're seeing the destruction. And as Americans, we have no idea what that's like. Like, we had 9/11 and we had the destruction that came with that, and it was devastating.
Sure.
It was in our lifetimes, and we were all adults when that happened, so we can remember it very clearly. But other than that, I don't know of any time that I could think of in history other than the Civil War where there was actual war going on
our land,
on American soil, as opposed to us going and fighting in other places. And I don't know what kind of war is potentially on the table now. It's, chemical or cyber or what, like what the Russians is doing. That's old school blow up shit. I honestly, I don't know what it looks like. I had a conversation with moms today, and we were talking a little bit about this, and we were talking about how, with them being in such close proximity to where we all grew up, the nervousness and the fear that comes with that is a little bit different, because obviously New York City being an obvious target, it's been a target before. But could you imagine if something came in the Federal Reserve that's walking distance from where we are right here in Richmond, got hit, and Jackson Ward was destroyed, and Short Pump Mall is no more. Like
I mean, that's really what they're living.
This is right.
Yeah.
This is what's going
Their
on.
everyday place, their everyday home is being fully destroyed. I mean, if you wanted to, not that we would have any necessary connection to it, but historically, this is the British bringing war to American soils and deciding they are going to fight over here because they don't like the autonomy. The difference is Putin's not going to stop. I think during the first week when this was all going on, everyone was like, he's going to get fatigued. He's going to get worried about these sanctions. He's had the last 5 years where no hands were really being put on him to behave in a way. Well, I mean, you could go before 5 years. He took Crimea with no issue. So, and before that, Georgia. And before and after all that, he ransacked Aleppo in Syria. He has been allowed to behave like the tyrant that he is for so long. And now that he's having success, and what he does know is we don't really want it when it comes to actual war with Russia. And like you said, China, he knows we don't want it. He knows that the risk is too significant for us. We can't afford the risk any more than they can.
No, we don't want it.
We don't want it. And that's why he's going to keep going. I do not feel like he's going to just give up all of a sudden, have a change of heart and say, you know what, these are my fellow countrymen. They're Slavs like we are. Let's go. I don't think it's going to happen. And I do think there's a significant risk. And today, when they brought up China, I think we should be really, really concerned that China, who gets most of their arms from Russia prior to all of this, Russia is now asking them about arms, and China and Russia have both said they're lying. Well, we also know that 19 days ago or 21 days ago, when our government said that they were about to attack, Putin said they're lying. So, I mean, there's more to worry about. Right now, what's happening over there, the most is really occurring with us is the gas and oil companies and the commodity brokers that oversee gas and oil, which is why you're paying more. You're not paying more because of the president you voted for. I wouldn't even be able to blame it on a president that is Republican at this point. That's not really who's controlling it. We have gas and oil lobbies that have been controlling this country for so long that it's almost beneficial for this war to continue because the power brokers of America are going to benefit from it. So we'll see what happens. But one thing I do know is we don't want real war with Russia.
Nah, we don't, John.
So here goes the first thing. I'm sorry. I'm going to break a lot of hearts here. A lot of people. Right. First things first, Russia and Crimea have already discussed terms of stopping last week. Ukraine has agreed to never seek membership in NATO. Right. So they're not going to be in NATO. They agreed to that. And I think it was one other thing that they had to be willing to give up, and Putin would back out. This war is a theater. There are lives being lost, but it's a bunch of bullshit. That's the first thing. Second thing, it's not that we don't want it with Russia and China. We just don't care. China never fight us because we owe them too much money. That's the first thing. Second thing, our military is larger than the next 10 countries all combined, right? Russia has more nuclear bombs than us, but they don't have a current delivery system. The system that they use to launch their missiles goes back to the 60s. They don't have a platform. We have satellites and we have defense systems around the world. If a missile goes in the air anywhere from Russia, anywhere, it'll be shot down or exploded someplace over the Atlantic or Pacific or even over Russian land. Nobody's launching nuclear missiles. It means absolute destruction for whatever country that does it, because we're going to blow your bombs out the air and then we're going to blow our bombs in your country just because. And then we'll deal with the fallout of the nuclear cloud and all that stuff. We're much more equipped to deal with it. The problem we might have is if they might attack us on a cyber level and put our power grid down for a couple of days, but everything that's major is backed up by generators. The only people that are suffering is like regular citizens. The government will stay up and running for years. For years. We have like something like 25 nuclear subs, new ones. Russia got old ones. They don't have that many. And we have constant dib on this. They think they hiding. They know they not hiding. Everybody knows where everybody's stuff is. So we're not going into no Cold War. We're not going into no nuclear war. And even if we do by accident, like I said, it will be much worse for them than everybody who would be most affected in the war between the United States and Russia would be all of the people who don't got nothing to do with it. The bombs would probably explode over Japan, in the Philippines. Those people that have radiation fallout, right? Or people like places like, well, they're not going to go over London because we shoot it down over London, and we ain't going to do that because it's more white people. They're going to shoot it the other way, and China knows that too, right? They don't have anything active in the Atlantic. They tried to put something in the Atlantic, a submarine, but we found it and told them go home. So let's just forget about this whole idea about war, because we spend so much money on our defense system and war that is insane. The only thing that's good about this war is now Halliburton will get the rebuilding contract in Ukraine, right? They're already over there with contracts in Poland, setting up defense system on Poland's western border, which is the eastern border of Ukraine. They already got billions of dollars in contracts, right? There's a company called Blackwater. Blackwater basically owns America, if y'all don't know that.
Shout out to the DeVos family.
Right. So Blackwater owns like majority percentage in most. I think one time I said there's about 5 companies that control the media. Well, in those 5 companies, Blackwater owns like majority percentages. And this is how powerful they are. They're so powerful that the guy who runs the company lost something like $200 billion one year, and next year had another job. So stop listening to the news. I'm sorry. You got to stop listening to the news. You got to stop believing the hype. This is theater. All of this is about making money more or less valuable. The ruble is less than a penny, right? All of this is about strategic planning on making poor people feel poor and rich people feel richer. That's all it ever is.
That's all it ever is. That's all it ever is. The only thing that I would change, and again, John and I usually agree. The only thing that we really disagree with is rhetoric. I wouldn't say it's theater because people are dying and we're seeing it.
That
I did say that. No, don't get it twisted. Lives are being lost.
We're
There's
seeing it.
dead.
And
There's dead. Oh, by the way, we bombed Somalia last week.
It's innocent. So anytime it's innocent civilians dying, that's going to be a problem. But the other thing that I will say to that is the United States has been guilty of it as well. And what our reputation around the world is how we view Russia. So let's not forget that either. There are parts of the world that look at us and think that we're just as crazy as they are, especially, prior to this current administration. And I'm not a fan of, I'm not a Joe Biden guy. I was very clear and open during the election season that I didn't want him to be the president, but the alternative was Donald Trump. So, it is what it is. And I want to move on from this. Ain't no half step Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy Internet Radio. All right. So Steph, you'd asked a question in our group chat where we were talking about Black folks and police and a potential solution, and where that potential solution, Black people being killed by police, where a potential solution may come from. As we transition to that, I'll ask that you lead us there and kind of start us up, and we'll get into that discussion before we move on to the other things. But before we do that, we're getting some love from Cousin Terry. So she's saying peace to the family. That is my sister, Cuz, and I got a lot of love for you as well. And tell Daryl I said peace, and peace to everybody there where you are. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J. So what do you think, Steph? Talk to us a little bit about that topic as we transition.
So there was TikTok that was going around, and basically it was white people. What do you think is one thing Black people need to know? And this young man, apparently who comes from the insurance world, said, Black people, you and everyone you know should go and get a life insurance policy with a wrongful death clause. And he was like, the minute you do that, and the insurance companies have to pay out once, twice, 3 times, they're going to come down so hard on police unions and policing that you're going to see the numbers drop, because they don't want to pay out a penny, let alone pay out $1 million policy or $200,000 policy. And so, while it seems just ridiculous that seems to be a way to reduce, or that's a suggestion from them to reduce Black deaths by cop, it makes sense. It makes sense when you think about policing as a financial system and law as a financial system. When you think about prisons as a financial system, anytime it's race and finance, which is all the time, then the only way to really, really stop it is hit them in the pockets. I had always thought, one of the major ways would be that the taxpayer dollars no longer can pay for these lawsuits. They have to come from police retirement funds, police unions, and it has to be from a unionized account that is not funded by the taxpayers. That would change it. But what do you think about, and John, I know you already were kind of reacting to it because you said it's something you've always thought, but go ahead and share with the people what you think about that.
Anybody with a job, you got a 401k, take that money out and put it into a whole life insurance policy, please. Everybody in your family, from the baby to the great grandma, needs to have a whole life insurance policy. That's the first thing. It is protection. It's money, and it beats the street every year. Right? That means Wall Street. It averages 10 to 14% annual, and Wall Street is something like 9%. So your 401k in its best year will do about 9%, maybe. but your life insurance policy will do 10 to 14 every year, and it's almost risk free. And you can take money out, borrow it, pay yourself back with interest without paying taxes. And the death benefit will go to your family. It's how you create generational wealth. Now, no one will ever tell you this, right? But when these families sue these cities and they get paid back, if they get paid back from the taxes, that's illegal. They can't pay you back your money. If you had a job in the city, right, and you were paying taxes to the city and to the state, and you could prove that you did so, and you sued the city or the state, they can't take your money and pay you back with it. They're supposed to take it from the police benevolent association or something. They don't. They're supposed to have an insurance. They have the state has an insurance policy. They're supposed to take it from that, but they use the taxpayer dollars illegal. But see, they're not going to tell you about that. And your lawyer, your Ben Crump, love him. He's not going to tell you about that, but he knows it's illegal. He just want to get his money, right? So all of these things are true, but we have to stop. Again, we got to stop with the bullshit, people. For real, everybody talk about woke. Y'all sleepwalkers. Y'all ain't woke because y'all still can't wrap your heads around that we live in corruption. Ain't nothing nice about this place except for the protections that its evil affords us. The idea that we don't have, that white people don't have a problem killing their own babies to make money, the part that they will kill their own for no reason and with total disregard and with evil and enjoy it and celebrate it and bathe in blood and all that kind of crazy white people shit. You know the kind of crazy white people shit that white people. Listen, okay,
Yeah,
You're gonna
listen,
lose. Come on, now.
listen.
You going
listen.
in a weird space.
No,
Yes,
I'm
please.
here we
Bring
go.
it back.
Here we
Go
go.
somewhere where we
Look,
can follow you.
Okay, this is what I'm trying
Not
to say.
with hyperbole.
All right, so a little less hyperbole.
Yeah.
The United States government is an evil place. Always has been from its conception to today. It's even just grown more evil over the time. Certain luxuries that evil affords us, which means the rest of the world is afraid of us, so we can live safely.
Now, when you say it like that,
Look at that, John.
you should have led with that.
Might have been on your team a little sooner.
You should have led with that. If you'd have
All right,
led with that,
okay.
you wouldn't have got us saying, "Come on." man,
Okay,
hyperbole and all this stuff you just said.
so with that said,
Stay in that lane.
with that said, face it, understand it, and accept it, and achieve to spite it. Do not you do, and please don't tell me nothing about the system holding you back and all that. Yeah, of course, it's holding everybody back. Figure it out. Figure it out. I know one thing for sure, two things for certain. When somebody want to do something, they find a way to do it, and if they don't want to do something, they find a way not to do it.
That's
Figure it out, folks.
That's real talk. You know, I'll be much more simple than what John was in kind of saying the same thing about life insurance. You know, to me, it's a no-brainer that you should have life insurance if you are able to afford it. Now, let's just be, frank. There are a lot of folks who can't. But for those who can, and it's not that expensive, I don't know how much it costs. Look it up. I got a life insurance, and I'm guessing that the team has it as well. But here's the point, getting back to the original point that was being made. And this is something that we used to talk about a lot on the Warren Ballantyne show. So when you brought this up, Steph, I was like, word, okay, cool. Because there's some merit to this. If everybody walking around has wrongful death insurance, and here you getting killed by the police, and they're the ones that having to pay this out, maybe you think twice about pulling out your weapon when maybe you've been told by your superiors, y'all costing us too much money, because I don't think that, our white counterparts understand how personal this is, how I could come on here for the entire 10 years, because, we're celebrating 10 years of radio here, going on 11. All of these years that I've been doing radio, and the last couple with my illustrious team here, we have been able to just rattle off names like John Crawford, who was in a Walmart in the gun section when someone said he's got a gun, and
In the gun
the gun
section.
section. And the part of the John Crawford story that most people don't realize is the reason why that story went viral. It went viral because a young white woman in the melee had a heart attack and died. That's why that story
Had
went.
no clue.
That's why that story went viral. Like Terrence Crutcher, who was just trying to go in the store. he's just trying to go in the store. You know what I mean? Like Sean Bell was at the bachelor party with the homies.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Abner Louima, he just went in his pocket so he could show you who he was. Freddie Gray, we know what happened to him in the back of the paddy wagon. They broke his back.
And want you to believe it was from rough driving.
Yeah.
They want you to believe that.
Mike Brown was in the store, had words with the people in the store, and the police roughed him up and killed him.
Cop didn't know that though.
Cop didn't even know it.
Right. When they said he tried to steal.
That's right.
All he did was put his hands up.
That part. So these cases will continue to happen. When we saw a couple of weeks ago, the woman that killed the young man and thought it was the taser, the judge decided that she was given too much time. And so the judge reduced it. So anyway, I don't want to get too far off on a tangent here because I could do that. But the point that I'm making is if all of these people who I just mentioned had life insurance policies that had to be made payable by their murderers, potentially, I don't know, because there's some evil going on. And sometimes you'll pay to be evil. You'll pay to
get away with it.
Just get away with it. You'll pay to be evil. But I think that there's some merit there, and it's something that I think we all should be aware of, whether we fear being killed by the police or not. Because here's the other thing with it, right? You think because you're getting older and you aging out of certain things that you're not susceptible. Like I'm gonna be 50 in a couple of years, in 2 years, I'll be 50, and I don't look like it. I know I don't. I may present like an old man when I get out of this chair. My back's gonna hurt. You're gonna see it. But when you look at me, I look like a young guy. Yep. And young black guys are always going to be a threat.
They're always suspect.
They're always suspected. They're always going to be a threat. It kind of reminds me of the next case that or the next story that I want to talk about. I want to talk about threatening black guys. Threatening black guys.
Scary black men.
Scary, threatening black guys in banks withdrawing their own money. I want to talk about Ryan Coogler, y'all.
I can't stand it.
I want to talk about Ryan Coogler. Ryan Coogler, for those who don't know, pull out the Google.
Director of
pull out the Google, pull out the Bing, whatever it is you got to pull out.
Not Bing.
To be able to catch up if you don't know the story that we're about to get into. But we're about to talk about Ryan Coogler, who was in a Bank of America in Atlanta sometime recently. And there's video of this. There's cop video, what do you call it? Cop chest cam, that, body cam video of this. So then here's the setup, right? Ryan Coogler goes inside the bank. He writes down on his withdrawal slip what he wants. And he writes on the back of it, count my money back there, because I don't want y'all counting it up here. And
he said, be discreet.
Basically be discreet, because he don't want the cash machine going for a long time, so everybody in there can see the cash machine going, because the longer it goes, the more money you got, the more money you're gonna be walking out of the front door with. Well, somebody didn't like the fact that he passed a note asking for his money, and they pressed a little button that brings the police in, and they must have gotten there pretty damn quick, because he was still standing at the teller when they rolled up on him. And the cop that you can see standing next to him already got his gun unholstered. Already. Where Ryan Coogler, and John reminded me of this as we were doing our pre-talk. Ryan Coogler was an example that we all should follow. Because when the police rolled up on him, he didn't do none of the stuff. He just was like, all right, what are we talking about here?
Yeah.
And so I'll let you pick up here because you were talking a little bit about this piece, and I don't want to steal your thunder, but and then we're gonna bring in Steppin. We're gonna talk about this because there is a lot to be discussed when you have a black man or any person dressed commonly or comfortably in a bank and already being seen as a suspect just by virtue of how you present. And many of us have been through that. Trust me, I was in the mountains of Massanutten last week. Them folks ain't want me there. They didn't want us there. And it was palpable. You could feel it. You can feel it. I'm one of those people, fuck your feelings. I'm going where I want to go. Period. That's just some real talk. But John, pick up here. Go wherever you want to go. I got a little bit of it set up here. I may have missed some stuff. But
look, listen. First thing I want to tell you people is, right, everybody but one person involved in this was black.
Yep.
Everybody.
Including the police.
And
everybody but one.
Everybody.
The lady on the phone.
The teller.
The
manager.
Everybody.
Okay. So let me explain this to you, right? This dude gets out of car. The car is sitting at the curb in front of the bank running. He comes in with a hood on, with shades and a mask, and he fills out the thing and writes down a note on the back of the note and slides it to the teller and said, read the note. The note said, yo, I'm getting out $12,000. Make sure that you count it in the back. I don't want nobody out here to get too excited about it. She went to the back. She said, okay. He put his card in the machine, which is customary. He put his numbers in the machine as customary and gave her his ID. This woman said, I didn't check the ID. The lady on the phone said, you didn't check his ID? No. He gave me a note. I think he's robbing the bank. What did the note say? The note said, please be discreet with my withdrawal of $12,000. I don't want anybody else. The lady on the phone goes, well, the cops are on the way. That was what she said, well, the cops are on the way. She said, okay, thank you. So the cops get there. They say, excuse me, sir. He said, hey, what's going on? Said, could you take a step back? He took a step back. He said, what's going on here? He said, listen, put your hands behind your back. The brother put his hands behind his back. They very gently and politely put the cuffs on him and walked him outside. Then began to explain to him. He tried to tell him the story. Listen, no. Don't talk yet. Let's get you out the bank, get you sitting down in this car, and then you could talk about it. But because of the seriousness of what's going on, this is how we got to proceed. He says, Google me. You ain't going to like what you see. Google me. Y'all messing up. Google me. Right? I don't think they ever Googled
Not
them.
the one concept.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
I don't think they ever Googled him. I think what they did was look at the withdrawal slip.
Look at his name.
Look at the withdrawal slip. Look at his ID, and then ask the woman, "Did he type in his thing? Yeah. Was it the right number? Yeah. So why
are we paying his money?
Why are we here?
This is why we're here, y'all.
The irony is he's down there filming Black Panther. He down there filming. He down there filming.
Let me get this to y'all, right?
Oh my God.
And if y'all don't understand it, I'm not gonna go. We ain't got enough time for me to break it down.
And I
right?
think it the same way.
You can't even blame white people for this one. You can't even blame white folks for this.
Y'all need to get the white people their God back. Because y'all automatically think of black folks as evil. Reason being because God is white. So if God is white, the opposite of white is black. So that means black people are evil because God is good.
Yep.
All the time.
Yep.
You know.
Right?
Wait, what'd you say? All the time?
He ain't lying.
So
he ain't lying.
Because that black girl love Jesus and Jesus love her, right? Like the good ship Jesus that brought the Africans over.
Like Florida Evans with white Jesus looking like Shaggy on the wall.
So just because that white woman, that black woman loved Jesus, and so did her manager, and they probably held their hands together and prayed about that evil black man trying to rob them with his own money. Right? And the woman on the phone said, "Don't worry, God will cover you. The grace of the Lord will cover you. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and that man will not be able to get his own money out of his bank." Black people, get a white man as God back so that you can stop looking at black people as evil. That's what happened here. That man came in the bank, put his card in the thing, and typed his number. I have been in the bank as a black man. I've taken out a lot of money. I've taken out a lot more than that. And the money machine count for a long ass time. It really do. But guess what? I'm real light skinned. I can get away with shit like that. Y'all darker than me. Y'all a little bit shade. Y'all can't do it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's why you stay in the house and we in the field.
Hey,
live from New Den.
Steph, I'm just saying.
Radio. Steph, what you think about what's going on here, man?
I don't know if I directly made the direct connection to, Jesus Cristo as my friend John did, but I was going to say something very similar in that we are conditioned and preconditioned to be fearful of one another. And that's the sad part of that story to me was, we believe the statistical data that comes out when it's one way. So we're like, she saw this black man come in, and in her mind, 80%, 85% of black people are killed by other black people. And I'm in a bank and blah, 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 everything to precondition her experience with him, without thinking about the fact that, 80% of white folk are killed by white folks. So it's the same statistic. We're killed within our communities. She immediately went off the fear that the news, that religion, that all these things do teach us about one another. I never really agreed with Kanye in his statement about the plantation and people wanting to be there. But what I can tell you is that not everybody agreed with the masters or with the plantation owners, saying nobody's master, but the plantation owners' mindset or were just fearful of it. Excuse me. Not everybody was afraid of the plantation owners' mindset. Some people really did go along with it. Some people really did see the benefit in it. There were some people, we are afraid to say these things because we want to look at slavery from this lens of everybody in that condition was good. No, there are bad people in every condition. And so there was many somebodies on these plantations that kept them running the way they did. And the easiest way to do that is to have the black equivalent of an overseer. And someone that's going to run back and tell you everything that's going on. And they aren't always doing it out of fear. Some black people currently and in the past really do look at other black people from a very tainted, negative lens. Candace Owens. And many of the people who verbalize that they agree with Trump about black on black crime and everything else. So you have people like that, preconditioned to believe that every experience they're gonna. You have black people who will say, "I'm never going back to that black restaurant. I don't want to go to black." It's the same thing. And you're preconditioned to believe that anything associated with blackness, anything run by black people and other black people are not as good as you believe you are. We have our people who are like that. And that's what Ryan Coogler experienced that day. The only saving grace, and this is not a guarantee, was that 2 black cops showed up.
Yeah.
That was really the only saving grace. And not because we haven't seen black cops doing dastardly deeds, as they would say. That was his only saving grace. I wish I was more shocked when they said that it was a black teller and a black manager and a black. No. We are preconditioned to believe just as much as many white people do that, some black person is out to get us. The boogeyman that we picture is black.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that she did that. But also, can I just say one other thing?
Please.
Critical thinking is critical. And common sense ain't that common. Common sense is, what is the procedure? Let's really go to why. I mean, this is crazy, but let's really also go to another thing that validates that we see each other as the evil that resides within also. There is a policy and procedure when someone comes in to either deposit or withdraw money. That entire procedure was followed. The only thing that was strange outside of it was him writing a note. But if you simply look at the note and read it, and you have reading comprehension, it really didn't take much more than, second grade level comprehension. My money in bank, be discreet, give it to me, want to go. Okay, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? It was very simple. You missed the policy there, but your immediate understanding of policy is man walks in bank with mask and sunglasses, must be robber.
Yeah.
You understood that. Why did the robber give you a note with his name? Why did he put the card in?
Why did he give you his driver's license?
Why did he give you his ID? It shows you that fear driven by race impacts critical thinking, even when the fearful person is the same race as you. Yeah. You will have Black people that will react to Blackness, the fear of Blackness, the trained digression from Blackness as just a standard. We believe it's the alternative to something good. You will have Black people that will react to those things the same way that white people do.
Yeah.
And that's what that woman did. That's why I'm not calling her that sister. That's what that woman did that day. She detached. Yeah. Now, am I saying that if you see a robber running the store and he happens to be Black, give him the benefit of the doubt? No, but you know the difference.
You know the difference.
And that's the problem with fear. It overtakes critical thinking and common sense. She displayed neither of those. And honestly, let me tell you something. I don't let things go that easily. I want her job. At that point, I don't care. I want your job.
I would.
You risked my life.
You know what's funny about that, right? These are the same Black people that buy Chinese food through bulletproof glass. You know, Joe Madison has this phrase that he uses. I love Joe. Joe is one of my radio mentors. I have had the distinct pleasure and honor of going toe to toe with Joe on his show. I'll tell a very quick story.
First of all, you got to be brave just to call in, bro.
Yeah, man. I ain't scared
Joe will go off even when he doesn't need to.
I promise you, I ain't scared of nobody. Not even him on his show. Right. And this particular day, I'll get to my original point, but I'll just kind of detour into the story real quick. I called Joe Madison's show, and his thing is, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? You can call these shows up and you come in here and you can complain, but what are you going to do about it? And so I called up to tell him, what I'm doing is I created a avenue for us, our people, on a grassroots level to problem solve with each other. An opportunity for us to give each other a platform so that we can do the damn thing. And he accused me of calling in to promote my station, of which I never even mentioned. Wow. So I said, ain't nobody calling for that. I said, you said, what are we going to do about it? I just told you.
That's what I'm doing.
And he still gave me the business, but then I guess he maybe caught himself, or maybe he just felt graceful, but he gave me an opportunity he said, just go on and say what you called to say. I know you called in to say more than I said. Okay, Joe, legacy internet radio, where independence is the key to building it. So I did all that. But, anyway, the point that I wanted to make about Joe, other than that side story, was he has this phrase where he talks about cultural conditioning, where we are culturally conditioned to believe that white is right. And the manifestation of that as Black people is we are undervalued, underestimated, and marginalized. And we do that to each other and to ourselves. And it's upsetting. It's frustrating because that could have had a completely different ending, but for a few different things. I love the point that John made because he made a very mature statement in that when you are accosted, because that's what I want to use. That's the word I want to use. When you are accosted by the police, as he happened to be that day, there's a way that you deal with that. You don't have to be aggressive and say, nah, I ain't do nothing. Why you in my face? And all that kind of stuff. Like, you're not gonna win doing
You're not.
that.
He
You know,
just
that's
did
something
Eddie
that
doing Bill Cosby.
my father taught me this. The greatest man I ever known in my life, my father. Hopefully he's listening, because I'm giving you your flowers. Love you, old dude. Talk to him today. One of the things that he taught my brother and my sister and K-Dub and Damon and anybody who was around him, he would always tell you, make sure that you carry yourself a certain kind of way. Make sure you conduct yourself with respect and you respect other people. And you are not going to win with the police in that instance. Come home, and then we'll deal with it. But come home. And someone clearly
Valuable
taught that
lesson.
to Ryan Coogler, because we saw that video. It is very clear. The second police officer, not the one with the body cam, but the one closest to him, had already unholstered his weapon. He had already pulled out the gat. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't never seen a police officer pull out a gun and it wasn't cocked. So it could have went down. But as soon as he said,
Not in
what
that
he
close
said,
proximity, that gun wasn't cocked.
as soon as he asked Brian to step to the side and let me holler at you, he was already putting his hands behind his back because he knew what it was. Like, you're not going to win. And like John also said, he knew once he went outside, this was getting cleared up.
Oh yeah,
You know what I'm
it's
saying?
immediately.
That's a very good point.
But we all have to walk with that kind of confidence, right?
If you're not doing anything.
Listen,
hold on, before you get into it, let me finish this up. Then I'll give you the last word on this, and then we're going to transition. Thrill says reading comprehension.
Yes, ma'am.
Terry says, I always give all my information when I rob a bank. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And she says, you better say that. Yes, we do. Not sure the full context, but I said something that she enjoyed. So yeah, I said that, girl. I better say that. And then last comment we're getting, accosted is the word for the day, Mama Mika says. And she's also thanking me for what I do, and thank you for being a part of it. Says ain't no how stepping with Marcus J live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio.
That what allowed him to get through that ordeal with minimum disruption was the fact that he was confident in himself, right? He knew what he went to the bank to do. He knew what he was doing for the reason he was doing it. He didn't have to even think about it or second guess himself in any kind of way. So when you know, when they pull you over at night and you know that you paid your insurance because it's on auto pay, and you know that your tags is good because you just renewed them, and you know that everything that you did, you know your license ain't suspended and all of that kind of stuff. When you know that, then do not act like you don't know it, because guess what?
That's a good
point. Police are trained in observation, and they look for certain things. Thus protest too much, Butai. Like, what the hell is all of that lip service?
If you didn't do anything.
That I see people, you don't have an articulable suspicion of shut up. You know the cop is full of shit. And you know that he can't.
He know he full of shit.
And listen. And no matter what, he got the gun, and he has the right to murder you. So just shut up. Take whatever insult he gonna give you. Try to hope that he writes you a warning or a ticket so you got his name and shit. And then you go back down tomorrow or the next day or the next way, and you file a complaint with the civilian review board or whatever it is in your city, state, or county or whatever, and call it a damn day. But make it home, because guess what? That's the cops' order. After they tell the cops before they leave the thing, your main order is to go home. So you take the same order. Your main order is to go home.
Yeah, it's to go home.
To go home.
It's to go home.
You don't always have to prove a point.
Right. And listen, there's nothing that you can do. You have. Guess what? People say, I know my rights. You ain't got no goddamn rights. You don't. Stop talking that foolishness. right? Just hope that they don't shoot your ass. And maybe when you get to some place where somebody gives a damn about your rights, like maybe the jail or the courthouse, maybe you can then start spewing your rhetoric at that point about your rights. And listen, this is coming from a Moor, right? I am registered United States government. They know who I am. I don't talk that shit with the policeman and the cop. I don't give them none of that. Or you don't, I'm working under authority and I'm not driving this car. I'm operating this motor vehicle and I don't need a license to drive. According to the Constitution, I could travel by any means common sense. None of that. Here goes my shit. Go ahead and do what you're gonna do. Oh, we gotta go. I gotta get out. Hold on, I'm gonna get out. Y'all got two cuffs because I'm a big dude and I got a bad shoulder. Can you please? Could you put two on me?
Turn his mic
No,
off.
this is
tonight.
true. Could you please put two on me? Where you want me to stand? Right here? No. Listen, I can't get on the ground. I'm
Be gentle
old.
with me. Be gentle with me.
I'm old. My knees are bad. My ankles bad, and my back is horrible. Please, I can't get on the ground. Whatever else you need me to do. No, they do. If you tell them, if I'm telling you, because I've been told, get on the ground now. Listen, please. I can't get on the ground. I got a bad back. I got a bad knee. I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna put my hand here. Please cuff me. Please cuff me. I'm not. Just please put me in cuffs.
Ain't no half step.
And they put you in cuffs.
You know what,
from New
John?
Dan Legacy
You better be
Radio.
glad we don't have a bunch of millennials and Gen Z
that
are listening, because they will take this and turn it into a whole meme.
So I'm getting a special. Hold on, I'm getting a special request. Right. I mentioned him earlier, and he's checking in. Pops J is checking in.
All right, Pops J.
Pops J is checking in.
We got your good word today. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Now I got a special request to tell a story.
Go ahead and tell it.
I got to tell a story.
Go ahead and tell it.
So it's February of 1990. It's February of 1990 in Jersey City on Communiport Avenue. It is the night that Buster Douglas, after having already beaten Mike Tyson, is getting ready to defend his title against Oliver McCall. Okay? And my brother Chuck and I are on our way to go see this fight. Right? When we stop at a red light, and the front of my brother's car, because I'm 15 in the story, right? The front of the car is on the line, which is too far ahead, the red light. Front of the car is on the line. That's all it took for them to pull us over. So they pull us over, and I say to my brother, I says, all the paperwork and stuff, right? And he just blank stares me. All right, so let's just do what we got to do. And so long story short, my brother was very feisty this particular day, and he was doing a lot of what you just described that we shouldn't be doing.
You're not white. That's white people shit.
He's doing a little bit of that. And cousin Terry said, "Hey, uncle." So I'm trying to not tell too much of the story. I want to keep it concise. So anyway, he gets arrested. He gets arrested because he's verbally abusive to the cop. They left a 15-year-old boy in the middle of the hood alone at night. And they took my brother away, who was my guardian, and left me on the side of the road. There was two of them. One took the police car. The other one got in my brother's car and drove it away and left me there in the middle of the street at 9:00 at night. I don't know, 5 miles from home. I mean, inner city is different mileage than, so I don't know how far, but far enough. Yeah, it was far. It was far. It was far. Like from here, it would have been like driving from here to Croker Spot, walking from here to Croker Spot, literally. And that's a nice little hike from here. So anyway, I call the house. Mom's answered the phone. Hey, Mom, can you put Dad on the phone? I call him Dad back there. Call him Pop now. Can you put Dad on the phone? What's going on? I said, can you put Dad on the phone? Like, I want to talk. Just put him on the phone. She puts him on the phone. I said, Dad, are you awake? Yeah. I said, Chuck just got arrested. I need you to come get me. He asked no questions. He just came. That's what you do. He just came. Comes and picks me up. We walk into the precinct. We see the lieutenant on, and like all kids who are with their fathers, our fathers know everybody. He knew the lieutenant. Like, damn, he know the cops. But here's the heart of the matter, right? Let me get to the point. The point is that day, the lesson that I learned is when you a man, it don't matter what color you are. If you a man and you carry yourself with a certain level of dignity, respect, decorum, and just unadulterated man shit, that kind of stuff translates all the time. It just does. And when my brother came out, I pointed out the officer and I said, that's him right there. And so my father went over and he spoke to the officer. I don't know what was said, but then he brought that officer over to my brother where I was standing. And he said to them, y'all around about the same age. There's no reason why this should have went the way this went. This could have been diffused on both sides. So y'all need to have a conversation and shake hands right there in front of me. And it absolutely blew my mind. I don't know the recollection that my father or my brother would have of that day. We'd have to ask them. This is my recollection. But the lesson that I learned that day, over 30 years ago, is if you carry yourself upright as a man and demand respect, that says more about you than it says about anybody else. That's a lesson that I carry with me. And that's the reason why I shout him out every chance I get. And I talk about him. And I talk about how I was raised. And I talk about how, as a black man, that kind of dignity will carry you through your life no matter who you come across.
And that's an excellent story. And I would wager, not being a black man, I would wager that level of dignity is not so much about the respectability that everybody else sees in you. It's how much you respect yourself.
Absolutely.
And what that commands in return. Even if the situation goes left, you can live with what you did, what you said, how you behaved, and ultimately you can then deal with the outcome, to John's point, after that. I think that's a great. First of all, your dad making them shake hands cracks me up.
Yeah, that blew my mind. It still blows my mind.
Y'all hug each other.
Yeah,
hug it out.
Man. Y'all, he led with y'all about the same age.
Like, what does this have to do with anything? I could be your father.
Yeah, it was happening here. But it was the respect. It was the respect of an elder, and
someone that was carrying themselves like their word was worthy.
Because it was. Yeah. And the other thing that I got from that was, I'm a man before you a cop, for real. So, I mean, I know you got a job to do, but that's my boy. You know what I'm saying? And you're going to respect him. Now, I'm going to check him too, but you was wrong too. And I think that often we get caught up in the authority, and authority is important. We should have respect for authority. We should have respect for police officers and all that kind of stuff. But they ain't the end all be all. And sometimes they're going to be wrong.
They're not respectable.
Sometimes they're going to be wrong. And he checked them. And it was a powerful moment for me because I had never seen anybody check a cop before. And it was important. Ain't no have Steppin, Marcus J. Live from New Dan Legacy Net Radio. John, go ahead and make your point and we're going to move on.
So the only thing is, sometimes it won't be enough, but you got to make it enough for yourself. You do not, I tell people this all the time, do not behave with respect for the expectation of reciprocity. It's not what it's about. You carry yourself because of who you are, not because of who anybody else is, right? So no matter what, I'm not going to let you make me some kind of thug or some kind of imbecile, right? You can say all the words and shove and kick whatever. I'm not going, listen, unless I'm prepared to die with you at that moment, I'm not fighting back, Mr. Policeman. I'm going to let it get to where it can get, where I can be effective. I can't be effective at night outside the car, on the street, in the cold. I can't be effective. I can be effective when I'm able to speak to someone who's willing to listen, right? You're not willing to listen. And let me see the thing about too with age, You got some cops. You got a lot of cops. Don't give a damn about how old you are, nigga. You a boy. Sorry, Marcus. But that's what it is, though.
Word.
No, sorry, Marcus.
I know,
It flew out.
I
I wanted to pull it back, but it was gone.
It was gone.
But you get.
I wanted to pull it back, but it was gone.
But this
That's
is how you got. Listen, this is
I can't
listen.
even be mad at
It's like
that.
cursing in front of your parents for the first time. It was
Look.
already out there.
I only say that to say what Marcus is speaking about is very, very true. But there's also a very, very ugly side to this too. When you're dealing with police, especially white police, because they feel and they've been told that they are the authority. No, honestly, you're not. You're not the authority. What you are the civil servants. And you're supposed to protect and serve the public where you're at. The authority is in the courthouse. It's in the law that's created by the state legislation and the federal government.
And the problem is many of them don't know those
And
laws.
but here's the problem. They have been told by the people who send them out to run roughshod on the black community that they are the authority, and that when anybody challenges them, that they automatically are the enemy, and they should be put down and put down hard so that no one ever questions you as a police officer. This is what police are taught. And this is why I always say I have a problem with police, not individual police officers. It goes back to its origins. Police are slave catchers, and that has never changed.
Ain't no half step Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy and Radio. Steph,
Yes.
what the hell is wrong with Kanye West, man?
My goodness.
Come
Kanye.
on.
You know,
Come on.
so my perspective of the Kanye thing will not center Kim K, because y'all know how I feel about it. But man, Kanye, what Kanye doesn't realize is that everything you're doing. So first of all, you were married to a white woman, Kanye. You were. I know she appropriates a lot of blackness and
Snicker.
and she steals, aesthetics of black women and affects and everything else. I get it. I do. But you married to a white woman. And now your white woman is with a white man. And albeit he might be the filthiest looking of them all, but he is still one. And you are displaying Negro behaviors that are not going to trump the safety of two white folk. Kanye is putting himself in a position of where they're going to forget that he's a man with money and just remember that he's black. Only a person who's dealing with a mental health issue could be fighting to get a woman back while publicly dating other women. I mean, am I wrong? Am I wrong? You want me back, but you went out and got a woman who looks just like me. And right before that, you got another woman. Well, you don't want me back. You just want control of the situation.
Yeah.
You just want to determine what I can do.
Yeah.
What Kanye needs right now is something Kanye would never accept and would consistently resist. He needs people around him that are not yes people. He needs real family around him that will serve him truth. And he needs to take care of whatever imbalance he's experiencing that would make you text this greasy looking kid on a Sunday morning and let him tell you he's in bed with your wife so you look like a fool.
He said that joint to him too.
He did. And he sent a picture, a selfie.
Yeah.
I'm in bed with your wife,
yeah.
And then he what Pete did was say, I'm not scared of you, dude. And I'm about to show you I'm not scared of you. And what blackness processes is, it's about to hit the streets. No, sir. No, sir. I went to school with these folk that have money and that make rules differently. And they don't fight the way you fight. They're not about scratching and clawing and punching. They never had to. They don't want to start.
But let's be clear. Who amongst us think that Kanye about that life for real?
Kanye is not about that life.
Like,
even threatening DL Hughley. What are you doing, sir?
And see, now,
what are you doing threatening DL Hughley?
I gotta say something.
Terry nailed it. She just nailed it with 2 words. 2 words. It's marketing. That's all it is.
It's great press.
And that's the reason why I get frustrated, John. I get frustrated, right? Because like when I look at Kanye West back with the college dropout era, I look at this dude as he's
genius.
He's the same age as I am. I think it might be a year or two older than he is, right? He first came out, his brand of hip hop was tailor-made for somebody like me.
It was definitely Gen X.
It was built for somebody like me, but I never could connect with him. Even before we got the crazy.
Really?
Even before the crazy came, I never connected with Kanye. And I don't know why. Now I'm glad that I didn't, because when I saw him embarrass that little girl like that, you know, what's her name? Swift?
Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
I didn't care about that. I just thought Kanye
I cared about that. You know why I cared? You know why I cared about that? Because that showed me a disrespect. It showed me a level of disrespect that I don't care who it is. You don't do that to people. Even if you don't like the little white girl that does country music. That's not cool. You don't go and celebrate your own by putting somebody else down. That ain't cool. And so while I already didn't fuck with him, I really didn't fuck with him after that. So everything that I seen after that, I've been waiting to be like, dude, please redeem yourself. Dude, please make us see that you're not all crazy. And then I wonder if it's what Terry just said. Is it all marketing? Now, I think it's some legitimate.
I think there's some elements of that in there.
There's some elements of that there too, but I think there is some real legitimate instability.
Off-kilter, unstable behavior.
You know,
absolutely.
Like, who goes and buys the house across the street from the ex? Like, who does that? Like,
only a stalker, honestly.
The ex is an ex for a reason. Like, she don't want you, or you don't want her. Like, you go buy a house across the street. Like, come on. And here we are every single week, not just on this show, but on others, feeding it every single week. Like, come on. Like, I guess I'm guilty of it as well because I brought this up, but I'm like, come on. Like, why do we care about Kanye? And the bigger question is, why do we always seem to have love? Not love in the sense that, oh, I love you, but love in the sense of attention for bullshit. This is bullshit. Like, come on. Why?
The same people who were, you know, calling the victims of R. Kelly, you know, saying, well, they wanted it and they put themselves in that place and this, that, and the other, are hardcore supporting and defending Kim K as though she doesn't have Hollywood and privilege protecting her, number one. And number two, as though she did not legitimately choose a man who was already off kilter. Kanye was already dealing with the issues he was dealing with. Kanye even basically said that marrying her was a marketing coup.
And he had babies with her. You know, John, before I get to you, let me get some love here on social media. What up, family? Good morning. Sue, Steph B, you bullseye. That comes from my best friend in the world, the pretty boy Damon, saying peace to the world.
Thank you, Damon.
John, what you got, bro?
I ain't got no love for none of them, to tell you the truth.
Shocker.
All right, so listen. Any name that got mentioned in here, right? Any name that got mentioned in here, please.
Shocker.
Spare me these rich people problems. Spare me. This man married a 2-time divorced woman whose fame came from a sex tape with another black man that you know. Well, and your best decision making was to marry her and have children with her. And you didn't need her money.
I'm not co-signing that.
Okay.
Because everybody got a pass.
Okay.
Everybody got a pass.
Okay.
Oh, well, no, I was not co-signing on the he didn't need her money part.
He didn't.
He was having severe financial issues. And it was known that she, as his wife, was loaning him the money. One of the reasons you don't see any financial issues right now is they both had solid prenups. Nothing is together, so on and so forth. And she made it clear that she loaned him that money to get out of financial debt.
Yeah.
So I do think he needed the money. I don't think that was the only way he could have gotten it. I think he got what he wanted on top of it.
When did they get married? What year was it?
Oh gosh,
I don't remember.
Okay, if it was after the Watch the Throne album, he didn't need her money.
I'm pretty sure it was after the Watch the Throne album.
Yeah,
because that was almost 10 years ago.
At Watch the Throne,
Yeah,
he was a solid $600 million.
As far as the money.
So, but wait, but
I
look,
don't care about
let's
that
go
part.
past that.
Yeah,
let's go past it.
I don't care about that.
Taylor Swift winning an award and him snatching the mic and talking. That's fools being foolish among fools. I have no empathy or sympathy for her. She's a fool. He's a fool. They foolish people and they do foolish things.
2011.
And they should be customary to the foolishness. They really should, because that's what it is. These people are jesters. They're clowns. They're entertainers. They get on light and on the stage under the lights and they jump around and do stupid stuff for stupid people to go, ooh, look at the stupidness, right? Kanye West.
Do they like go like that for real?
Yeah, they do. They do. I watch them. They go, ooh. They do.
Okay, I just want to be clear.
Watch TikTok. They do it.
And they go like that?
Yeah, they do that on TikTok. Yeah, they do. So listen, here's my thing.
Thank you for indulging.
Yeah. So here goes the thing, right? Kanye professes to be worth $8 billion. People say he's really probably about worth like $2.5 billion. I need y'all to understand the difference between $1 billion and $1 million. $1 billion is 1,000 million. Okay? He's got like $2,500 million. Right? So whatever he does, whatever he says, however he says it, not anybody in the sound of my voice should give a damn. Because if you do, he just made another million off of you, stupid. And that's all I got to say about Kanye and anybody else.
Ain't no half step on Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy Net Radio. All right, so as they say in the old hip hop song from 1990, let us move on. My corny joke. I'm going to say that every week, Okay, love's going to get you. Ain't no half step on Marcus J. Quick question. Go around the room, and then we get out of that, getting in something else. You ready for the question? Ready for the question? Is LeBron the GOAT?
No.
Is LeBron the GOAT?
No.
Okay. LeBron to me is the GOAT. There has never been anybody that had 30,000 points, 10,000 rebounds, 10,000 assists. There's never been anybody at his size with his skill set to do what he's done. There's never been a man 37 years old with 2 50-point games in the same season. There has never been players that has done what he's done. Nobody in the history of basketball has scored more points than LeBron James. And he got the chips. Now, folks want to say Michael Jordan. I can dig it. I'm not arguing with you if you want to say Michael Jordan. Fair enough. 6 championships, never lost the finals, never won a game without Scottie Pippen. Never won a chip without Scottie Pippen, never won a chip outside of that same area. LeBron won a chip East Coast, West Coast, Central. Took teams with nobody on it but him, Steph, John, Marcus J, and Damon on the damn team and won the damn chip.
You're making a good argument.
Not quite true, but we can get into it.
Not true because maybe John, Steph, Damon, and Marcus wasn't on the team.
No, but
but
Dwayne,
still true.
Superstar Dwayne Wade.
Yeah, that's Miami. What about Cleveland?
Didn't he have Kyrie Irving?
He had Kyrie Irving, one guy.
Yeah, so
one guy.
That's good enough.
It's not good enough when you talk about how
when you look
at how every single dynasty had to do it with 3 guys.
Wait a minute.
3.
You just said Scottie Pippen,
Dennis Rodman.
He had a
Famer.
lineup.
Don't
Craig
do that.
Hodges.
Don't do that.
Look, they could
Hall of Famer.
Unfortunately,
they could pull Craig Hodges off the bench.
Hold on, wait a minute.
They went deep.
Of Famer.
I will give him that.
Time out.
Come for me.
Let me go.
Come for me.
This is the first thing I'm going to say. All I would like to do is take it for years because longevity is a wonderful thing.
20.
Wait.
Almost.
Longevity is a wonderful thing, and I will give him that on longevity. But let's take the statistics of the years that Michael Jordan played, and I hate Jordan with passion, and take the same statistics for the years 1 through whatever that LeBron James plays. His numbers don't match. They're not even close.
Yeah, you're not right.
I am.
You're not.
I am.
Okay.
I am because I listened yesterday. I watched the whole statistic thing for 4 hours where they broke down everything. Michael Jordan in his career has had the fewest amount of consecutive game losses in between as a player. Right? he didn't go on losing streaks.
No, they had a 72-game winning season.
But they listen
in 1990.
Michael Jordan didn't give up.
He's great.
Losing games. And here goes another thing.
Great.
Right, now listen.
I still
Michael Jordan did not. Michael Jordan also did not play because you hate him, and I understand
I hate
that.
both of them.
Right, but wait, let me get back into it.
I got reasons for hating both of them as a Knicks fan.
Michael Jordan also played the majority of his career with the hand check. LeBron James ain't played with no hand check.
Okay, they changed the rules.
Right, but wait, no, wait. I think it's important because I think if Michael Jordan played without a hand check, his numbers would have been even better.
The rules are the rules.
Okay,
you play who's in front.
But again, you play
the rules. Okay.
You have. With that said, put it in year for year. How many years did Jordan play?
13.
Take Michael Jordan 1 through 13, and then take LeBron James 1 through 13. Put those together, and then make the comparison.
Don't want to do that.
And aside from that, LeBron is.
Don't want to do that. Still say LeBron.
Look, LeBron is a scaredy.
Yeah, I'm not.
Michael Jordan is a killer.
Yeah, I don't want to talk.
Michael Jordan is a killer
because
LeBron James gives up. He walks out on games. He gives up in the fourth quarter. Michael Jordan will eat your children.
Now
he will kill you.
Now you're speaking in hyperbole.
But it's the truth. Here we go. This is what you got to do.
How about you ask
all you
Michael
got to
Jordan
do?
What he thinks.
All you got to. Michael Jordan thinks that
he thinks he's the greatest. But
no, he doesn't.
Also,
no, he doesn't. Michael Jordan believes that we can't say that because he never had a chance to play with the people who led the way for him in their era. So we can't say.
Michael Jordan won't
now
say
I know
he's the
you
best.
don't know.
That's what I said.
Now I know you don't know.
That's what
because if you ask Michael Jordan anything about greatness, he's gonna always say himself.
No, with his competitiveness. But they asked him about specifically who's the greatest basketball player.
Me.
He says I can't say because I never played against Oscar Robertson. I never played against.
Never
Will
heard
Chamberlain.
him say that.
I have several
never
times.
heard him say that.
Look it up.
Not only have
Look
I
it
never
up.
heard him say that.
Look it up.
I've heard him speak enough. I ain't gotta look it up because I know what I know.
Because I know LeBron James said, "Shit, I just won that chip. I'm the GOAT." And you not.
I never
and he
heard
wasn't.
Listen, I have heard more humility from LeBron James than I ever heard.
And that's a problem.
Number 45
because
from
GOATs
the
ain't
Chicago
humble.
Bulls.
GOATs ain't humble. GOATs kill.
Nah.
They put people down. They put them in their place. They make them afraid. Jordan had grown men crying. They ain't want to play him.
Yeah,
he ain't have no friends. Even his friends ain't want to play with him.
That I agree with because that's a shift in the way the league is now. That's because every single kid in the league now, I shouldn't say kid, that's speaking in my age, but every single player in the league played 20 years ago with the same guy in AAU, which is the reason why Carmelo and LeBron and Chris Paul are so tight, whereas Michael Jordan and Isaiah still got heat.
Right. But guess what? Michael Jordan and Oak was best friends. And it didn't matter. When they got on the court, they wanted to kill each other. You see what I'm saying? So that's the kind of, you can have a friendship. You can be cool with each other. But when you try to play ball, I'm trying to put you away. This dude, Patrice O'Neal, was the best. He said they had the best joke I ever heard about this. It's like when I used to play football, we hit somebody, and he was on the ground unconscious. We didn't pray. We started taunting the fans. Look at your man. Come get him. Call your moms. He's dead. He's gonna need a hospital. He's gonna. Let's just pray. You know, this is a violent situation. We try. Sports is supposed to mimic war. It's supposed to substitute war. You're supposed to want to take the other team down. You're supposed to want to humiliate. You're supposed to want to win every game, right? You're supposed to want to win every game. You're supposed to want to destroy your opponent. Right, and Michael Jordan was the master of that. Psychologically, all kind of stuff. I'm not even talking about his ball playing. I'm talking about his attitude and desire to win. Kobe had the same kind of desire and drive to win. He won championships without people.
The reality is, I don't want to spend too much time in this. I'll let you finish your point. But here's what I will say. I'll make my last point as I cut you off and let you make the final point. All of this is subjective. None of this is fact-based. So anybody who wants to sit here and say this one's the greatest, this one's great, it's all about what you think and what you see based upon what you know. There are some that will say Kareem. Nobody scored more points than Kareem.
Yeah, so far.
Before LeBron James clipped him.
But he did it in more seasons.
No, he didn't. He hasn't even played as many as Kareem has played yet. What are you talking about?
Yes, he did.
No,
what did Kareem play?
20.
And what was LeBron play?
18.
Okay.
You too.
Yeah, that's where the okay.
I'll say
okay.
this. I do
Yeah.
think, from the standpoint,
I'll
the
give him
reason I
that.
say
My
MJ,
man.
and it's hard for me to say MJ because I'm a Knicks fan, is really the impact that he had on every aspect of the game, from the court to the styling to the marketing. When you think about the financial impact of basketball on and off the court, that's where I give MJ a lot of credit for his prowess there.
Yeah, I mean,
and turning it into a machine.
the one thing that I will say about Michael Jordan, and then we're gonna move on. I'll take the last word. Michael Jordan was the first of the ESPN video era, and so there were players that you could argue that were as great physically on the court as he was, but nobody was able to do the things that he could with the camera on at the time he benefited from perfect timing, and he was great.
Right.
And he was great. But if you ask me, it's just me, one guy, my opinion don't matter, just my name on the show. This dude at 6'9", with Karl Malone body and Michael Jordan skill set, gonna tell me that he ain't the greatest player that you ever seen in your life? Fair enough if he's not. I ain't never seen a better ball player, and that's my opinion. And I hated the dude. I was the guy who came on the radio every week and called him Le Fraud. I called him Le Fraud. You know why I called him Le Fraud? Because I was in my feelings about how he didn't come to New York.
Didn't want to be there.
Didn't want to be there. Came to Connecticut to say I'm taking my talents to South Beach.
Yeah.
And I spent the next 5 years throwing the greatest amount of shade that I can muster up at the dude, while at the same time saying, even then, and this was 10 years ago, greatest player I ever seen in my life. Never seen a better ball player. That's just me. And I seen the entirety of Larry and Magic's career. I'm old enough to remember when the NBA Finals was on tape delay. You had to watch it on the weekends. 2 days ago, game was played, and the game is on tape delay. I'm old enough to remember that, and
You're an old man, Marcus.
Listen,
certainly
listen,
so are you,
yeah,
sir.
all I'm gonna say is he was
Take the last word.
He's
Take the last
probably
word.
the most gifted athlete ever to play the sport, and I would say he's in anybody's argument for being the greatest. I can't argue against anybody, but just as playing basketball, and this is the fun. Two people I've seen play basketball, I've never seen anybody play better basketball, was Bernard King and Kevin McHale. I ain't never seen anybody play.
Yeah.
I played basketball before, and those guys play ball in a position of playing basketball with a skill level that is different than anybody. Include Jordan's athletics.
Yeah, it's
right?
because
It's like boxing with Roy Jones Jr. and another. His athleticism made him the greatest boxer of his era. But when his athleticism began, the minute it dropped, the minute he started losing. Right. So Kevin McHale, Bernard King, two guys who weren't the most gifted athletic people, played with ball skill on a level I've still not seen to this day.
Hall of Famers. Ain't no how Steppin, Marcus J. Live from New Denton, Legacy in that radio. This man, because of who he is and because of who his team is, I will give him the last word, because he spent the whole entirety of his youth watching those Bull teams winning chips as a fan. This wasn't a bandwagon fan. This was a legitimate fan who rooted for the Bulls when they stunk, and he still rides for them now. My brother Damon says Jordan, greatest of all time. LeBron, greatest recruiter of all time. Mike never went to management and asked them to get this guy or that guy. LeBron needs every and any one of his friends, boys, whoever, to come to Miami, Cleveland, LA. Love it or not, Mike was a leader. LeBron, not so much. No shade. I'm just saying, yeah, like Mike didn't get Doug Collins fired. What are you talking about? Come on, stop it. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J. I was giving you props before I read what you said. Ain't no hashtag with Marcus J. Live from New Day.
I think Doug Collins got Doug Collins fired.
No, Michael Jordan got Doug Collins fired.
Basically
we're not doing that. We know what it was. Same with Magic and Paul Westphal. We're not doing that. We know what it is. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J. Live from New Day Legacy Net Radio. All right, so last segment we're going to get into. We're going to talk about Naomi Osaka, and we're going to talk about Brittany Griner. And so, just get your mind right. Talk about those two. Take a listen to this clip. We're gonna listen to this clip on Naomi Osaka. We'll talk about it, then we'll talk about Brittany Griner, and we'll move towards a close. Take a listen.
Naomi Osaka, who's been outspoken about mental health, was heckled by a fan mid-match at the BNP Paribas Open at Indian Wells, California. It's the same tournament where Serena Williams says she still has mental anxiety from an event that occurred in 2001 dealing with heckling fans. Naomi broke down in tears. She asked for the fan to be removed, even asked for a mic to say a few words during the match, but she did get that opportunity after her loss to Veronika Kudermetova in the round of 64. Listen.
I've gotten heckled before, like it didn't really bother me, but it's like heckled here. Like I've watched a video of Venus and Serena getting heckled here, and if you've never watched it, you should watch it. And I don't know why, but like it went into my head and it got replayed a lot. I'm trying not to cry.
Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live for New Dan Legacy and that radio stuff because I could hear you talking. I'm gonna give you the first word because I heard what you just said. Lead us off.
I feel her pain. I hate that, a young woman has to deal with this. I hate that she gives them the power. I hate that she doesn't recognize the power of her talent and the power of the impact she has on her sport right now, because she gave that heckler way too much. I think she could take it to WTA, the Women's Tennis Association, and put them in a position strategically where they have to address this. I do remember that match at Indian Wells, and Sabrina and Venus were severely heckled. Not even way beyond what she experienced, although everybody, feels things differently. I just mean it was ongoing and consistent when they played there. And yes, Serena has said it's still a place that makes her feel that way. When you're in predominantly white spaces, and that's not just living here in America, but their educational institutions, what they believe are their sports and things like that, there's this outer shell you almost have to develop in order to protect yourself, because the people who are running those organizations will not do it for her. And, I think I'd love to see her get a better handle on it so that it's not something consistent, because what we know about people, especially in the social media era, in this era where everything is on TV, and certainly post the last administration, where now it's okay to say these things, I would love to see her get a team that really prepares her for this. And also, you got to hit them in the pockets, even if they might hit you in yours. When these types of things come up, if you really want to make a point, sometimes you got to put your money where your mouth is. That means I'm not going to do the press conferences after. Or that means I won't show up for the next tournament because I bring too much money to you, and now we're gonna hit you in the pockets. But to give these low rent people that level of impact on her, to expose herself so much to them, I hate it, because I know that they don't care enough to stop. She's gonna keep experiencing it.
John, I'll take the last word.
I didn't see the match. I didn't hear the heckles. If the heckles were reserved to her playing ability and her performance on the court, I don't know what to say. If you're an athlete, you're gonna get that. Okay. If it becomes at any part racial with any kind of thing to it, then I needed to be shut down immediately. The idea, right? The idea that people must be subjected to behavioral standards because someone else might feel bad about it. If it's not, like I said, if it's not in a point to where it is an assault, a real assault, like a threat of violence or some kind of racial slur or something really derogatory, something that has been determined to be outside of what it is we do in society. If one day, right, if one day the powers that be say the words "you suck" when being said to an athlete are equivalent to calling them some kind of racial slur, then we'll deal with it that way. But if it's just "you suck," I can't do with it. If they reserve the "you suck" exclusively for black people who play, if they never do it when white people are there, and they only do it when black people are there, then what I will say to that is, you should know better and stop being friendly with all those white people, because anybody who stayed there while it went on, including your team, the people who didn't come up to you, if it was a situation that's an exclusive thing that's done to black people in that court, your team of white people around you should have walked out on the court, put their arm around you, and walked you out of that place. And every other white person in there who didn't agree with it should have got up and walked with you. The people in the broadcast booth who kept broadcasting and stood their ground should have left. The people who were calling, they should have left. Because when you sit around and you watch it being done and you don't do anything about it, you're guilty of the same crime, right? So I cannot continue to give people pass. This woman should not have to get a team together to attack it or talk to the people in the tennis association or whatever. If they know what it is, they know what it is. They're telling you, know your place, and you're not accepting it, and you're gonna break down and cry and so on and so forth. I don't know what to tell you, because you walked into the Lions Den. You just said you saw the videotape of Serena. They still don't play there, right? They boycotted it.
They came back. They're back now, yeah.
Right?
And I will say they were racially harassed there.
Okay, so listen, check this out, right? If when they were racially,
meaning the Williams sisters.
So if the Williams sisters were racially harassed there, and the company they play tennis for, whatever that organization is that lets them play, did not remove that place from the circuit, what y'all doing? Then y'all willing to sell y'all souls for the millions of dollars that y'all get, because the white people around y'all was like, I didn't call you that. Well, we're gonna go there and watch the next match. You girls run along.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
I can't disagree with you, John, on this one. It's one of those things for me where, if you look at racism affects, in the kind of way that we're talking about, 13% of the population, us. And so if you're larger than that, say 50% or more, fuck your feelings. Like, fuck your feelings. And looking at it big picture wise. Now, because I'm part of that 13%, of course I'm offended by it. Of course I'm upset by it. I've been a tennis fan since before the Williams sisters dropped on us. You know what I mean? Like, my mother was a tennis fan, so she would watch, and Martina and Chrissy Everett and Steffi and
Tracy
Tracy
something.
There's a Tracy,
14-year-old girl.
There's a Tracy, played. And I can't think of her name, but yeah. So a lot of people's tennis knowledge starts with them, and so their opinions, while respected, are limited. This, to me, and I remember when it happened to Venus and Serena in particular, because I was watching when she played Kim Clijsters, who is a European white woman.
Yes,
and I remember watching the match when Serena is playing on her home turf. Because, see, Indian Wells is here in America. It's right here in America.
California.
It's in California, and they from Compton. And so not only is it your turf, but it's your home state. And they booing you for the European. What is that other than racism? Somebody tell me. Anybody tell me. What is that when it's not racism? So we know what it is. And Venus and Serena said, fuck y'all court, ain't coming back. and it took them 14 years.
And they lost a lot of money
But
behind
guess what?
it.
But you know what? It was no
never,
longer about.
I would have never played again as long as the people I played for supported that place, because they're telling me that they support racism.
I agree. I understand, and I'm with you on it. I don't have a reason because I'm not Venus or Serena, so I can't speak for why they went back there. But what I can speak to is what you just said and how much I agree with what you just said. Because if you feel uncomfortable someplace, why are you going back? Why are you going back? You know? Now, I'm not throwing shade. Maybe it was money. Maybe it was status. Maybe it was power. Maybe it was enough years that went by and you felt like maybe it wasn't the same anymore. Whatever the reason that Venus went back the year after her sister went back. I think it was 14 and 15 that they went back after having been gone for 12 or 13 or 15, whatever it was. So when Naomi says what she says, I understand it and I feel it. Now, let me address that before we go to Brittany Griner and get us out of here, right? I am not going to be someone that says Naomi should not have the emotion. You got to have a thicker skin. I get all that, and there's something to be said for all of that. But there's something to be said for softness, and there's something to be said for owning your feelings and expressing them, even if it comes off as weak. Because ain't nothing weak about a world champion tennis player who is better than most of the people who play against her in the world, right? She showed her emotion, and I can't look at that as a weakness or as a problem. Yeah, she cried. Why is crying viewed as a weakness? It's not. Y'all are nasty to me for no real reason, and it affected me. We should be honoring and supporting those emotions, in my opinion. I get the whole thing about, hey, they don't want you here, don't go back. I agree with that. I agree with that. They don't want you here, don't come back. I agree with that. But what I don't agree with is suppressing of emotion. If she was there and that's what she felt, think about what went on. You got people there who was throwing shade at her, and when she's looking at the history of this place and how they've treated people who look like her, who come from where she comes from, I'm not talking about her Japanese heritage. I'm talking about that black girl magic that we all know that Naomi Osaka has. And she's looking at her mentors being treated this way. And now she's being treated this way. It affected her. And she went to the authorities in the midst of it happening and said, I need you to do something about this. Stop this. Remove them. Because how many times have we seen LeBron James walk up to somebody and then go to the ref, I want him gone. And that
will
person
remove him.
is gone. No question. Gone. So are we talking about a women's rights issue? Are we talking about the fact that it's tennis and there's less power there? There are a lot of things that could be at play here that I don't know and we don't have time to break down. But what I will say is I have rocked with Naomi Osaka from the first time I laid eyes on her, and I'm going to rock with her until either she closes her eyes or I do. I like her. I support her. And when you go out there and you know what you know, black people, you know what you know. You know when they're coming for you, and you know why they're coming for you. You know when it's racism, and you will not be subjected to the gaslighting and somebody telling you it's not what you know when it is what you know. You know them people fucking with you because you black. You know what it is. And yeah, it elicited tears and frustration and emotion because she knew, and she went to the authority who could do something about it, and they told her no. Not only did they tell her no, we won't remove them, they told her no, you can't speak on it. She is the talent. She is the athlete. She is the player versus a fan who came here specifically to throw shade. So you're not going to take my side? That to me is the bigger issue. You're not going to take my side for real? Word? All right. So she continued to play, and unfortunately, she was affected. She was affected. Now, she's got to deal with that. That ain't for us to deal with. She's got to deal with that. But you know what it is for us to deal with? It's for us to support her and know them people came for her because she black. We all know it. We ain't going to play this game. Stop playing this gaslighting game. We know what it is. Call that shit out. and put it right in their faces. White people, come get your peoples. Because we know all of y'all not like that. John said earlier when he
Yes, y'all are.
John said earlier, when you mentioned the police ain't all like that, you locked yourself into that kind of rhetoric.
And let me tell you why.
You locked yourself. Hold on, I ain't finished. You locked yourself into that kind of rhetoric when you know better. You mad at white folk, I'm mad at white folk too. Right? White supremacy is what it is. It fucks with all of us. But all of them ain't like that. And all of them not caught up in it. Just like every cop ain't caught up in it. I'm not finished.
Okay.
And so when we talk about a subject like this, if we're going to put that on the table, then we got to be consistent.
So here's my consistency. Same difference, right? We're not talking about individual people, right? When I say white people, I'm not talking about Bob and Susan and Karen who live in their house. I don't know them, right? I'm talking about the group, right? And it's the group that allowed that person to continue to heckle her. It is the group who continued to broadcast the situation. It is the group as a group, and their strength is in that unity. So when the individual does a bad thing, what did you say? Come get your people? They ain't never coming for them because they doing the work that they want them to do, while they can stand behind them and go, oh, we don't feel that way, and we have black friends. That's what when you find me the group who's ready to come for them, the group with power, right? Not the people who's going to gaslight and just make it bad, right? And talk stupid foolishness, not the flat earthers. When you find a group of people in position of power who's prepared to hold the others' feet to the fire in these things, then I'll say they're all not like that.
I agree.
But so far, from what I see, they're all like that.
I would agree with you. Only reason why I'm calling you to the carpet is because you contradicted yourself when you said what you said about the police.
It's not contradicting.
I'm
going to go back again.
It is.
I don't
It
know.
is. You know why? Because police have the same kind of negative relationship and stereotype to our people as white people. And you, earlier in the show tonight, said that all police, you don't treat them the same.
No.
Because
I said cops. Individual cops. I don't know them all.
You don't know all the white people.
Let me tell you something.
This is what I mean.
Right. I don't know.
You don't know all the white people.
But here's what I do.
So if you will give the grace to the police,
I'm gonna break it down.
That's a semantics.
I will break it down for you.
What's the difference?
I will break it down for you. Here's the difference. Right? When you act
5-0
and when you act
1 times.
Let me give you the difference. When you act, respond, and move as a group, right? And you will not take the same reason I'm no longer a card-carrying Republican, bruh. Because I had to take myself away from that. Guilt by association, right? When white people go home and they know that their brother uses the N-word all the time, and they still invite him to Thanksgiving dinner, oh, why? Because that's my brother? Then you using the N-word.
You said it earlier tonight. What are we talking about here? You said the word tonight.
No, but that's not my point.
It's mine.
Okay. Good. All right. So now, back to what I'm saying. What I say don't have nothing to do with this. I'm talking about the way white people respond to each other, right? I have no ability to be racist. I don't.
You don't have the power.
Right. So when these white people, right, have family members who use the N-word and they're still invited to Thanksgiving dinner and they hug and they kiss them, and then they stand up and say, well, I'm not racist. I'll never use that word. I got black friends. Sure, you're racist. Because otherwise, your brother wouldn't be welcome in your home. Right? I'm not an axe murderer. Right? And axe murderers can't come to my house. Why? Because if you feel comfortable around a group of people, then you're like those people. Forget about what you say you do or whatever. It should make you so uncomfortable that you should separate yourself. And I have not found the significant group of white people who prepared to do that. That's why I say what I say.
Ain't no half step, Marcus J. Live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. This is great, man. This is a wonderful, wonderful conversation. I will move us towards the end of the show here. There are a lot of comments that have come in, and Latrell and Terry, and we appreciate you guys commenting. I'm not going to read them, but I will put them on the screen so that everybody who is watching and listening could benefit from you guys' wisdom and the great things that you have said as you participate in tonight's show. Yeah, we were going to talk about Brittany, but we're running out of time. All right, let's do Brittany real quick. I was going to do that, but yeah, I mean, it's the short version of the Brittany Griner story, and I did want to talk about it, but we're just running out of time. But the short version is Brittany Griner, an American basketball player who was in Russia, and in Russia, she got caught with some marijuana oil, basically, and she faces 10 years in prison. And the angles that I wanted to talk about was how she could potentially be a political prisoner. Russia could decide that they want to make a stand and fool with her because of this, certainly because of what's going on in the world right now. We could talk about the angle of why would you be dumb enough to be in a foreign country carrying that kind of stuff. We could talk about that. There's a lot of angles. But unfortunately, in the interest of time, we're just not gonna get to them. Ain't no how Steppin.
Unfortunately, she's gonna likely be in there next week, and
maybe we can get to it then. There you go,
because it is significant enough that everybody's voice should be heard. It'll give John time to catch up on it too, and but I definitely would love to discuss it because of the significance of it and exactly the part you said, which is. This is leading to political prisoner status.
Right.
So.
Right. I'm just glad to know that I got you guys here to back me up with that sort of thing. So thank you for bringing that to us and bringing that to me and making that point. Ain't no how Steppin with Marcus J. Latrell says CBD oil. So
they said hashish. So I don't know what that translates to for them. Are they calling it marijuana or whatever? But whatever it is, I'll say this. One thing, she's been in and out of that country consistently for the last 7 years, playing in the WNBA off season to supplement her income. She's likely done that before. They know who she is. She's nationally known over there.
6'9" black woman,
and
can't miss her, right?
And I think when we get into it, you'll see there's those other elements of not only her. I mean, I think this was minute. The timing was what it was for a reason. And now you have someone who is Black, LGBTQ, and a national figure here, which could be turned into an example of. So at the very least, everybody keep following it so that when we do discuss it, we can get into it because it matters. It really does.
Absolutely. I appreciate you both. Ain't no how Steppin, Marcus J, live from New Dan Legacy Internet Radio at this time. Housekeeping, 2 things: moment in Black history, missing children. So first, and there's a comment here that we're getting that's mentioning Brittany Griner. Those folks that are watching, I'm putting these comments here on the screen. So definitely take a look at these. We're going to move on, but the comments on the screen, and feel free to communicate amongst each other in our chat rooms. And you'll, as Steph and John have alluded to, potentially we'll get back to these next week. Ain't no how Steph, Marcus J, live from New Dan Legacy Internet Radio. All right, moment in Black history. Let's start in 56. United States congressmen from 11 southern states issued the Southern Manifesto declaring opposition to Supreme Court's Brown versus Board of Education decision prohibiting racial segregation in public schools. Wow, okay. 2015, uncovered evidence of San Francisco police officers' racist text messaging referencing cross-burning and lynching is released to the news media. 2015, just a few years ago, police department. Okay. Same week, same year. This week, protesters march after University of Oklahoma Sigma Alpha Epsilon fraternity is taped singing a song using the N-word and, quote, You can hang him from a tree, but he'll never sign with me. I remember that one. I
Remember they were on the bus?
On the bus, yeah. I remember that. I remember that. 1995. Last one we'll do. Mississippi legislature votes to ratify the 13th Amendment, abolishing slavery after rejecting it in 1865. Yeah, thank you. 130 years later. We appreciate that. And Steppin, Marcus, J Live from New Dan Legacy and their radio. Y'all with the bullshit.
All
man.
shade intended.
Yeah, every
Every
look,
leaf on the
I need you
tree.
to get ice cold because it's so shady. That's what I wanted you to experience. Steppin, Marcus, J Live from New Dan Legacy Internet Radio. At this time, we are going to profile missing and or exploited children. We got two young sisters, one from Henrico, one from Chesterfield County here in the Cap. Samaya Cooper, we're looking for her February 27th, 2022. She's from Henrico, 16-year-old black female. She's 4'11", weighs 110. Last seen wearing purple multicolored shorts, possibly left her residence in pajamas. I hear stuff like that. Oh my goodness. Why would you leave the house in pajamas? Not okay.
So many things that you
let me
just
get
start
back to
digging
it.
into.
Yeah, I just get all caught up with these babies, right? Her hair is styled in long braids with dyed blonde tips, and she's got a scar on her nose. If you've seen baby girl Samaya Cooper, please contact the Henrico County Police Department at 804-501-5000. We're also looking for Tiana McLean. She's been missing since March 8th, last week. She's Chesterfield County, 14 years old, 5'9", 123. Her hairstyle in red and black box braids. She's got hoop ring on one side of her nose, stuttering on the other. She requires medication and may be in the need of medical attention. If you have seen this baby, Tiana McLean, please call Chesterfield County Police Department 804-748-1251. If you've seen Tiana McLean, if you've seen Samaya Cooper, please contact the National Center for Missing and or Exploited Children on their website, missingkids.org, or contact them via the phone at 1-800-LOST, 1-800-843-5678. Come on, y'all. Keep your eyes open if you've seen these babies. Let's see if we can try to bring them home. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J Live from New Dan Legacy in that radio every single week since September of 2011, when this was the Green Room, and all the way until December of 2011 to the present. We have always profiled a missing and or exploited child, and we always will. It is a mission of ours. It should be a mission of yours. Just look around your household right now. Look around your family. Count them babies. If the number comes to where the number should be, then you're blessed. But there are some folks where they're a number short. And when they're a number short and it's a human, it's a baby, you got to do what you got to do. So keep your eyes open. Every once in a while, we get word that a baby has been found and it's a positive outcome. And it's such a great day when that happens. Oftentimes we don't get updates. If we did, we share them, but oftentimes we don't get updates, and sometimes they come home and sometimes they don't. But that does not mean that we don't look for them. So keep your eyes open. If you see something that looks weird while you're out and about, you're in the store, you're in the mall, you're just driving along, and you see a child or a young person that just looks out of place or just looks uncomfortable, pay attention. That's the time to be nosy. We be nosy all the times when it ain't time to be nosy. When you see a kid that looks out of sorts, that's when it's time to be nosy. Keep your eyes open, and let's bring our babies home. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J Live from New Dan Legacy in that radio. All right, it's time for our rants and our closings. Yeah, John, we have had an outstanding show. A big part of it is because you're here, and I appreciate you. Thank you for keeping me honest. You say a lot of stuff that makes me think, and because of that, I'm a better man. I'm a better man because you're here with me. Thank you, brother. Thank you for being you. Time for you to close us out with your rant and your closing.
Well, thank you both. And I'm trying to remind you every day, every time you hear stuff, that you have made a significant change in my life as a man above 50 years old who didn't think he would change so much. but just bringing my attention to things that I was aware of, but I really wasn't aware of. And I appreciate that. And it has helped me. And but it's scary. It's scary because you got to deal with your demons. You got to deal with your demons. I'm still trying to find that. There's a double yellow line, right? Where chauvinism and chivalry connect, right? Where you leave one for the other. I'm still looking for that line, but it's there. I'm still looking for it, right? And it's because of you that I'm even aware of it. And thank you.
I appreciate it.
We made a few sports references today, so I'm gonna try to get my rant out with sports. We spoke about LeBron James. Nobody can argue against. No one can truly argue against him being in the argument because his greatness is undeniable, right? Same thing I was talking about Roy Jones Jr. versus for everybody who doesn't like Floyd Mayweather and his bragging about being the TBE, the best ever, not the GOAT. He's the TBE, right? Y'all should take up your issues with professional boxing, because had it not been for a bullshit disqualification, Roy Jones would have won the heavyweight championship, come back down, and won the light heavy champion, whatever he beat Toffa with the first time. And he probably would have retired. And Floyd would not have been able to surpass that record, not going through 4 or 5 different weight classes, right? Undefeated. He wouldn't have been able to do it. He would not. So y'all can blame boxing. My point in this is we miss so many things because we as a people deny our own greatness, right? That's like somebody saying, oh, LeBron ain't the GOAT. Michael, you can't even make that argument. Of course I can. His greatness can't be denied. So black people, how do we continually allow ourselves to be left out of the argument? White people have been in control for about 700 years, 1492. Before that, black people ran the whole world, Europe, Asia, everywhere you go, right? Everywhere you go. So 1492, they have a short reign, and it's been horrible as compared to the civilized reigns before that. How do we let people who are about 9% of the population of the world dominate the entire world and not even recognize our own greatness? I don't get it. I understand how systemic racism works. I understand how might over right works. I understand how institutionalized slavery works. I know how it works. We got Google. Everybody has a phone, right? You can go and research and understand and try to figure these things out. How about this? Stop giving Jesus the wheel. He don't got a license. Hold on to your own will and drive your life, right? Figure out what you have to do to succeed. I'm not telling you to be non-religious. I'm nobody's atheist or agnostic. I don't believe in God. I know God. There's a difference. I don't have to believe. I know. I have evidence. I've seen. I've witnessed. I've spoken to. So I don't have to go on belief and faith. Just like I don't have to believe when one of my children in the next room. I know it. Why? Because I walked in the room and saw him. So let's try to get ourselves focused individually, right? Stop. I don't want to hear ever again, well, if we could stick together, we can't, so forget about it. We're not all the same. Can't stick together. You don't move how I move. I don't move how you move. Right? But you don't need to use that as an excuse for your laziness. As individuals, you can do whatever you want to do. You have this is the information age. We live in the age of Aquarius. The water is being poured out over you all. You have access to the information, right? Figure a way around it and get what you want to get. If you don't know what you're seeing, this is a problem too, right? A lot of people don't even know what they want. They don't even know what it is they should have. They have no understanding of accomplishment because they've been told that participating is enough. So they just go into a thing. They don't even know why they're in the thing, but they know they're doing the thing. And somebody told them they was great because they was doing the thing. Right? You got to get out of that. If you don't like how you're living, if you don't like what's around you, if you don't like what's going on in your life, do something about it. Educate yourself, increase your personal value through education. And that doesn't mean going to the university. But if going to the university is an option for you, so be it. But I know that they give Harvard courses online for free. You won't be accredited, but you could take the class and you can get the same information that Barack Obama and his people got. The class is available online. You can get it, right? So let's stop with and again, I'm the biggest one talking about systemic racism, white supremacy, institutionalized slavery, the police force, the slave catchers, the government, corruption, all that. I'm the biggest one to talk about it. But guess what? It's not a reason. It's not a reason to be poor and stupid. It's not. You can't say it's the government's fault that you're poor. Racism didn't make you poor. Your lack of ability to overcome it has made you poor. It's an obstacle. It's a brick wall, yes. But you've seen enough people run over it, run through it, and go around it. There's enough examples of things to do to overcome the situation that you're in individually without us having to have this march down the street and raise the fist and break the window and loot and then burn up the Foot Locker. That's not going to get it done. It hasn't got past performance, right? Is a real good indicator of future, right? That ain't work. It ain't been working. It didn't work in this. It didn't work in the 60s. It didn't work. Martin Luther King last speech said, I gotta say, I'm real sorry because I think my dream is a nightmare for my people. I think I might have led them the wrong way. It's one of his final speeches. All of this stuff I did was for nothing. This is what he said. It didn't work. It didn't work. It's never going to work. Every single individual be responsible for yourself. If you are a man, be responsible for your family. That's your job. If you can't be responsible for yourself, don't have a family. Once you can be responsible for yourself, know that you could be responsible for others, then have a family, be responsible for them. Stop asking a woman what she could bring to the table. It shouldn't matter. Because it's hers when she brings it. And when you bring yours, it's hers too. That's how it goes. It's like the Chinese restaurant. It's in the column. You order from the lunch menu, you get the free soda or the egg roll. You can't ask for wonton soup if it ain't on there. Right? That's how it goes. You choose to lay down with a woman and have children, then that's it. You give up your right to complain about what she's not doing. because you was in control of that situation, or you should have been in control of that situation. And if you can't control yourself, then what are you doing? You're useless. You're useless. Fabulous said it. Use me, because if I can't be used, I'm useless. So if that woman can't use you to raise a family and make herself feel good about herself and feel protected, that she can go out there and conquer the world, because she know that there's some brother who will come and beat the hell out of everybody if they look at her wrong. If she can't do that, then you're failing. Personal responsibility is what we are lacking. We're not lacking in solutions. We're not lacking in resources. We're not lacking in unity. We're lacking in personal responsibilities. Get it done. That's my rant.
Ain't no half stepping. With Marcus J live from New Den Legacy and Net Radio. Thank you, John. Steph, I appreciate you so much, mostly because you bring a balance, and you're so damn smart. You're so damn smart. And I just like listening to you talk. Yeah, she is. I like to listen.
Too.
I like to listen to you talk because you always drop a jewel. I always come away smarter than I was before I heard you. And got a cool sounding voice. Kind of cute too. Little size.
It's good when you easy to look at.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Y'all
You know
are
what I
mad.
mean? You know what I mean?
Y'all gonna make me blush.
Well, through the brown skin, can we see it? Yeah, So, but in all seriousness, just thank you, man. I thank you. I like to be around smart people. I always heard it said that if you're the smartest person in the room you in, then you need to find another room. And you guys sharpen my iron. You know what I mean? Both of you. It's a phrase that John and I use with one another, but absolutely would be remiss if we didn't bring you in that as well, because I watch them, I listen to them, I could feel them, and the listeners, they rocks with you, man, and you be on it, and I appreciate you, and I need you to make sure that when you take this mic and you start speaking on your rant, you tell them where you going and what you're doing every Friday. Don't be forgetting, because you sometimes do. So if you got to lead with it or end with it, whatever it is you got to do, but I need you to make sure that every single person that rocks with John and me and you as this crew rocks with you and what you do.
First of all, I appreciate it. It's a tough time, right? But there's a lot happening. I'm not even talking about Ukraine. I'm just talking about living in the skin suits that we live in this country and experiencing the things that we experience. And I thought about you both when I saw the Ryan Coogler story, because y'all ballers. No, I'm joking. That's it.
Well,
because I got the big money. I thought about the fact that you don't have to be that the perception of Black masculinity. Often I focus on the sisterhood because I recognize that it's sometimes easier to speak directly to your own, to chasing your own, to hold your own accountable. And I'm getting there, sisters, because this rant really tonight is for and about you. But I appreciate that I get to come here, and spend time with two brothers that hear and listen. And I appreciate that you are man enough to acknowledge any growth that you could experience from our friendship and our relationship. And I appreciate any acknowledgement of my intellect, because often as a woman who has a lot to say, it's not often appreciated or wanted or heard. Some people want you to show up with the bow on and be cute, and that's about it. And so when I come here, not only do I learn, but also my heart is fed by the appreciation and the value that you show in me. And so thank you both for being my brothers. And I want you to know that every week I think about you. I pray for you. I want you safe. And that Coogler situation made me think about all of the men that I am attached to, both in my family and my family that I've chosen. and my friendships, and even our listeners. I want you guys to just stay safe. You know, they don't see, they know your power, and that's often where these situations are coming from. And I appreciate that you know your power and you're living up to what Papa J said, and you're actually demonstrating the dignity and the respect and the advice that you gave, you know, staying true to who you are even in those moments, knowing that when you can't beat a situation, there's a certain way you have to handle it. You know, it's time that we do start having those conversations, because the other things are not working. The pointing fingers, the screaming, yelling, it's just not working. And so I appreciate that. Thank you both. My very brief rant, and this actually is based on a conversation I had on air. You guys can catch me on the Hustlers Hive Friday mornings and Friday afternoons, 5 a.m. on ESPN 106.1. At 5 a.m. if you so choose to get up. And it is RVA based, but you can hear it streaming. And then at 2:30, when we get a little blacker, on Choice 105.3. and we talk about, it's where business and culture collide. So many of us are out here trying to turn $1 into 15 cents, make things happen with our lives. And I address the collision of pop culture, Black culture, arts, music, and the path that it trailblazes, or we trailblaze, in the business community. And it's not always that you have to be a CEO or multimillionaire. Your life is a business. Your household is a business. You are the CEO of those two things. You got to manage them closely. And my lesson from that is hinged to John's. It's about accountability. And I agree with John that so much of what we miss out on is because of our inability to be accountable to what we say, who we say we are, what we do, how we engage with one another. We will be upset that someone is experiencing something with us and say we want to address it, but not really acknowledge why that person feels the way they do about their experience with us. And I think it would become easier for us, and right now I'm talking to us, sis, if we understand the value that we bring to any situation. Spend a lot of time with these empowerment coaches. I am very anti-empowerment because it brings very little to the table. If you're not shifting power to me, which is the true meaning of empowerment, you're just paying lip service to a movement that's not going to happen. I'm talking about execution, executing a vision and a mission. And the only way you can do those things is to understand the truth of the value that you bring to any situation. And I'm holding me accountable too. We often are in situations in which our value is greater than the situation is worth. We want to talk about worth. I hear it all the time. I know what I'm worth. That's irrelevant. Worth is debatable. That's why jobs are often compensated based on worth, not, which allows them to attach the compensation to the role, not the individual. So when you walk in to do that job and or apply for that job, they're not saying, well, this is someone that actually brings more to the table than we actually need. Let's pay them more and bring them in. They say you're overqualified. You know why? Because the worth is placed on the activity, the job, not the person. So it is more important for you to understand your value, which is how you're going to swing the pendulum in any situation. How do I add or subtract from this situation? Sometimes, sis, it's okay to say, I don't have any value here. This job is not going to be better because of my presence, because I don't like how they do things and it doesn't work for me. And therefore, I've got to go somewhere else that's going to benefit from me being there, so that I reduce the negative experiences I have, so that I experience the growth that I want to experience. And you could take that same thing to personal relationships. We stay and beat the dead horse. You're trying to fix something that's not salvageable. And it's not salvageable because you may have more value than that situation is worth. or it's not salvageable because you don't add value to it, because it's worth more than you can afford to add to. And that's okay too. It's okay to say, I don't add value to this man's life. I'm not elevating him. The things that I am great at don't serve him well. I am not a utility. I had a pastor say to me a few weeks back that the reason a lot of marriages go beyond their expiration date, and this is somebody who's in the ministry, he said, is because people get married without recognizing whether they have value to one another. And then they stay in these situations and they are not a value add. They begin to detract and subtract from each individual in that relationship. The easy way to get to this, and I'm always about the action of it, sit down and ask yourself, in any situation that you're currently unhappy in, whether it's your love life, whether it's your work, whether it's the business you run, ask yourself, what value am I adding? What about me is building this situation in the moment? And be truthful. He may be fine, but he may not be fine for you. Let him go. It's okay. Get out of his way so he can do something different. He may not add value to you, but I ain't talking about him right now. I'm talking about us. Because occasionally we forget that we're not good for everything. I know we're magic, black girl magic, all that great stuff. I know they're lucky to have us. I know they should listen to us more. I acknowledge that if we ran things would be better for everybody. I'm just going to say it. I say it all the time. Black women are the rising tide that raises all ships. Sometimes, though, you need to untie the anchor and go on out. Get out in the ocean. Find something new. Do something different. But before you do, before you make that commitment to change, acknowledge and be accountable for what you bring to the situation, how you develop the situation, and whether you belong in the situation. You might be CEO capable, but not for every company. You might be the most beautiful girl in the world in your eyes, but you're not for everybody. And so if you want to help yourself and you want to have the experience that you deserve, and again, I'm in the process of taking this advice myself. If you truly want to be accountable and you truly want to have a greater impact on the life that you're going to lead, sis, go ahead and be transparent with you first. Spend a little time alone. Be quiet. Do what Marcus does. Going out to the woods, sit by the lake. Make sure you take your taser because somebody might try us. But get on out there and think a little bit. If you need to light a few trees up, do that too. Mark.
Do that.
Not any that are still in the ground, please.
No. But take the time. Take the time to really process whether the situations that you are in on every level in your life are benefiting from your presence. And if they are not, it's okay. It is not failure. It is not defeat. It is you making a decision to bring something greater to the world, which means your actual value, the things you actually increase. And that's my rant.
Ain't no how Steppin Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy Net Radio. A couple of final comments. Pops is still listening. He said, I agree. I think that comment came in towards the end of John's rant. My cousin Robin in New Jersey is listening as she cooks. Hey, look, I love my cousin Robin.
Hey, cousin.
I love my cousin Robin, right? I love my cousin Robin because every time I see her, right, ever since I was a little boy, she's a few years older than me. And every time I see her, she's like, oh, man, you're so handsome. And you just be, you just never know. And I never told you this, Robin, but every time you say that, it just touches me. When I last saw her, at a tragic time a few months ago, and we always take a selfie, and she's just so awesome. I just love her. We don't talk much, but you need to know I love you. Damon says, Steph B, you the bomb. Love my brothers, peace and love. So he rocks with you, John, as he rocks with me. All right, so I got a 2-part rant. One I'm gonna fuss, and one I'm really freaking sad about. So I'm gonna fuss first, and then I'll talk about how sad I am. All right. So here's where I'm going to fuss a little bit. You know, as we talked a little bit through the show, there was some stuff that I wanted to make sure that we got through, and we didn't get through it, and so I kind of saved it for my rant. And so I'm a rant. I'm a rant. I'm a rant. I'm a rant. I'm a rant about this mandate. The mandate and this dude's position, they both make sense from their perspective. So I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. But Kyrie Irving marching to the arena and sitting across the court from his teammates, barred from playing, is one of the most mutually asinine things I think I ever seen in a long, long time. He's unvaccinated. His choice. I support him. Mandated to stay away. It's an understandable rule. But it's just something that just don't seem right about seeing this dude showing up courtside, seeing his teammates play, but he can't play due to his own choice. Him, in this case, or anybody. And we talking about a league where players getting treatment during a 3-hour game often don't sit with the team. They got 21 other hours of the day, but they got to get treatment during the 3-hour game and not sit with the team. It's just bullshit to me. It's something about that just really irks me, especially when we know that KD went up to him, hugged him. He was in the locker room after the game. Like, come on, man. Like, we know there's rules, and there's rules you got to follow, and you got to honor his decision not to get vaccinated. But that was just a bunch of bullshit, and it pissed me off to see it. Just did. The only thing that pissed me off more was the Knicks losing. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. All right. So
Cosign.
here's where it's going to get a little bit sad, right? All right. So in the mid 80s, 1986 in particular, I saw this dude. I saw him. And I didn't really get him. You know, he kind of looked like Magnum TA, and it was cool to see him. You know, he's a big guy, and he throw folks around, and he was a pro wrestler. And if you know me, you know pro wrestling is a part of the DNA of Marcus J. It just is. You know, Marcus J and Damon were in the building for one of the most infamous or famous moments in the history of pro wrestling in May of 1996, which included this man, Scott Hall. And he passed away today. And I saw him when I was about 12 years old. First time I saw him, I was like, man, this dude is cool. He was just cool to me. He looked like Magnum PI, and he had the big mustache. He was a big guy. And then a few years later, he repackaged himself with a completely different look. And I didn't even realize that Razor Ramon was Scott Hall until a few years later when I saw him make the jump to WCW. And I remember Damon and me, it was a day that, you know, we had nothing else to do. 1996, May. And we was like, yo, what we gonna do? I heard there's a house show, Madison Square Garden, the same Madison Square Garden that Pops J took me a few years earlier, maybe 10 years earlier, to see Hulk Hogan wrestle. That's how Pops loved his boy. Pops hated wrestling, but he took me. 10 years later, Marcus J and Damon are in the building, and we didn't understand when we seeing Razor Ramon hugging the guy that he's just fought. Like, what's that? You know, it's the days where, you know, the mystery and the kayfabe, as they say, wasn't broken. You know, there was still the mystery surrounded it. And then when I saw Razor Ramon show up a few weeks later on another channel using the name Scott Hall, I made the connection. That's the same dude that looked like Magnum PI that I saw 10 years ago. And I love this dude, like created the NWO, and NWO was so over in the business that you thought that it was legit. They had legitimate heat in the back with the boys. Wow, what's going on here? And all of the years that passed, I watched him and I said, man, that dude is cool. And that swag is extra, but it's legitimate. It's how he moved. And I was a big fan of the dude, man. Always was since 1986. First time I saw him, didn't even know how I would love him years later, but I came to love Razor Ramon. And if you into wrestling, then we a whole different fraternity. If you're not into it, you're probably wondering why I'm going on and on about it, but you're just going to have to indulge me because it's a community and it's a fanship and it's a love that those of us who are into it, we really into it. And it's personal to us. And anybody that's a fan of anything, we talked about basketball tonight, LeBron and Michael. And when we lose them, a lot of folks are going to hurt. A lot of folks going to hurt bad. And today, a lot of folks are hurting bad because we lost the bad guy. And so I want to say peace to Sky Hall. I want to say peace to Hollywood Hulk Hogan. I want to say peace to Big Sexy Kevin Nash. And I want to say peace to X-Pac Sean Waltman. Those were his closest friends in the business. But I want to say peace to my brother Damon. And I want to say peace to myself because we were big fans of this dude. And it's sad that he's gone. But I know he's in a better place. So I want to say rest in heaven, peace, and wherever you going, to Big Scott Hall, also known as Razor Ramon. You gave me a lot of joy, bro, and we appreciate you. That's the Marcus's unrelated rant that had nothing to do with the show tonight. It's the end of the show. I want to remind everybody that independence is the key to building your legacy. I also want to say peace to all of the stars and all of the squares and the abundance of water. The food is thirsty. Those are the words of Bob Marley, who, if I hadn't talked for over 6 minutes, you'd still be hearing singing in the background. But that's cool. One last thing I want to tell you, though. Authenticity has no competition. Ain't no half-stepping with Marcus J. For my brother John, for my sister Steph. We're going to be back here next week. We love y'all. Holla at your family. Peace, y'all.
Oh, yeah. I'm with this, with it. I'm just gonna lay back and I'ma drop some smooth lyrics. So tune in 7 to 9:30 and don't be late. About to set it straight. Ain't no half-stepping with Marcus J. Word. I'm ready, let's go. Ain't no half-stepping, that's the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With you flowing this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the beat, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half-stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk, running back. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk. Steppin, that's the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With you flowing this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the beat, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half-stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk.